Hello, everyone, and welcome back once more to Anime Yay or Nay. I am the kind of bubble thing there. I am the AYoN. Yeah.
I'm Hot for Justice.
I'm Yin&Jung.
I'm Chibi Noob.
And I'm NV Jitters.
And we're back in I believe this is week 11 of the Shonen Showdown. We're currently knee-deep in the semifinal, or quarterfinals. Semifinals are next time. Oh, there's the final. Yeah, no. I'm losing track of days.
We're in the third round of the quarterfinals.
That's it. Envy coming in for the save. Thank you. Last week, what happened? We had the big matchup that we thought for the quarterfinals last time with My Hero Academia versus Demon Slayer. Demon Slayer came out on top, but they'll go on to face Jujutsu Kaisen in the semifinals, which I'm sure we're all looking forward to. But for this week, let's look at the two things that we watched this week. My words aren't. I feel like I always do better like later on in the podcast. I usually can't start these things too well. I think I just gotta get my rhythm going before we actually start recording these things. Anywho,
Yeah.
we watched Naruto and the Seven Deadly Sins today. This week. We didn't necessarily have to watch them today, but yeah. Yeah, everyone watched them, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes.
I don't know. We gotta like pregame a little bit better before we really get into this, I think that's my problem.
I think
right,
we did less talking than we normally do before we actually start, so.
I guess that's true, yeah, you know.
If you really want a pregame, you can take a shot.
Oh, hey, don't get me started. I've drank heavily the number of times that we recorded this, but yeah, let's talk about these things. So let's get into the first one. Naruto. This is episodes 4 through 6, so we're past a lot of the intro stuff that we got in episodes 1, 2, 3, and now we're on, much like every other anime, for the most part, we are in test mode now. It's time to see the big challenge going on after you do your initial stuff. So, Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura have been put into a team together, and they're waiting for their new teacher to show up, and he's late. And Naruto's like, I'm gonna pull a prank on this guy for coming late. So he sticks an eraser up in the doorway, so it's gonna fall on his head. And they're like, it's never gonna work. This is supposed to be like an elite ninja. It's not gonna happen. It happens. The guy walks in, it falls on his head. He gets dust all in his hair, which you can't really notice that much because he's already a white-haired dude. And yeah, they're like, ha ha ha. And he's like, so you're all idiots. Good to know. And then he takes him out, and it's everyone's favorite part of a new class is telling people about yourself. Say your name and 2 things about yourself. Everybody go around the room.
No.
Oh,
I hate
the
it.
best
Truth and a lie.
Truth and a lie. Was that something you did?
I
Two
did
truths
that.
and a lie.
Yes, I did that.
They
in
made
one
us
class.
do it like freshman year orientation for college. It was the worst. I hated it.
Same.
I think I missed orientation. I did not have that for my thing. Yeah, anywho, they're all describing themselves with this teacher who refused to describe himself, basically. Because he's like, I'm Kakashi. Things I like. I don't really want to tell you that. Hobbies. I have lots of them. Anywho, who are you people? And so Naruto tells him about how he loves ramen and eats ramen and keeps loving, like, everything is ramen in this man's life, except that he wants to be Hokage. Sakura doesn't really say anything, but we can all imply that everything in her life revolves around Sasuke. And Sasuke hates everything and everyone but wants to kill somebody. So, out the gate, just really driving home how generic everyone is right off the bat. Such a shame. But yeah, so they all decided. So Kakashi tells them, "Hey, you're going to be part of this survival exercise that we got to do. We're going to test you guys because, hey, this is kind of funny. You're going to think this is hilarious or not. I don't know. you guys might not actually be ninja at this point. Yes, you all passed ninja school, but now we actually have to see if you can actually do the things that we want you to do. So, we're going to cut like 60% of the graduates and throw them back in the academy. So yeah, let's see how that all works out. Meet you in the morning, skip breakfast and all that kind of stuff. Otherwise, you're going to puke. So they all show up the next day, very tired. He shows up late, and which is a running theme with him. And he's like, hey, so you're going to try to get these bells off of me. And if you can't do it, you go back to the academy. And they're like, but wait, there's only 2 bells. So one of us is definitely going back to the academy? Yep, better get at it. Anywho, anyone who doesn't get a bell doesn't get lunch. Stuff like that. Let's get this on. And Naruto goes straight for him. But he's like, hey, I didn't say go yet. And there's a number of times in these episodes, Kakashi straight up looks like he's going to kill somebody. And very, very, very easily could. Anywho. It starts, Kakashi's wide out in the open, and he's like, alright, let's see what these kids can do. And Sasuke and Sakura are hiding because they're being smart, and Naruto is not, because he's like, I'm gonna just straight up fight you for this bell thing. And, yeah, let's see what happens there. So yeah, he comes at him, and Kakashi pulls out a erotic novel and starts reading, because he can do that without breaking a sweat fighting Naruto, which he shows him pretty handily. And then he sticks his fingers up a 10-year-old's butt, which is a little bit weird. But yeah, so launches him into a river. Then Naruto comes back with a bunch of shadow clones. Kind of impressive. But then Kakashi tricks him and makes him beat himself up. And then he catches him in a rope trap, because he had obvious bait of the bell. And then Sasuke straight up murders a man. But not really, because he was a log the whole time. And then Sasuke's running away because he's like, he was rooting me. He was trying to find my location, which he did. And Kakashi is straight up gone from hunted to hunter. And he is just going after everybody now. Naruto gets out of the rope trap thing and falls directly into another rope trap. Sakura is like looking for Sasuke and gets tricked by an illusion that Kakashi makes of Sasuke being stabbed to death. So she passed out. And then Sasuke actually tries to actually fight him, sets a trap. There's a whole bunch of knives flying around. He tries to pull some Bruce Lee shit to try to get the bells off of him, but he can't quite do it, so he breathes a fireball at him, which really impressed Kakashi, because he's like, hey, there's no way that he could have done that, but he does anyway. And then Kakashi pops out of the ground like a tremor and just pulls him under. And he's like, yep, you guys suck. And then Naruto tries to steal some lunches, gets caught, gets tied to a log, and he's like, okay, you all suck because you guys could not figure out what the actual point of any of this was. Sasuke tries to attack him, because that pissed him off, and he takes him down. He takes him down in the blink of an eye. And he's just like, you guys were supposed to work as a team, but you didn't. You guys don't get it. I'm going to drop you all from the program. And she's like, well, why wouldn't you tell us that? You're supposed to think on your feet. You're supposed to do this. You're supposed to do that. You guys have no idea what you're doing. I don't like any of you. And he threatens to kill Sasuke. But it's just a joke. He's just showing an example of why they have no idea what they're doing, which is, yeah. Anywho, he's going to let him try one more time. Naruto doesn't get to eat. Sasuke and Sakura get to eat. They're going to try for the bells again. He goes away, and Sasuke is going to give Naruto some of his food, because he's like, we got to make sure he's up to full strength. Otherwise, we're screwed. And Sakura's like, here, you can have some of my food. Then Kakashi shows back up, and he's like, you broke the rules. And they're like, doesn't matter. We got to work together, blah, blah, blah. And power of friendship, or whatever this... Power of acquaintances, power of teammates. I don't know. They're not really friends yet. And Kakashi's like, okay, you pass. It's like, what? What do you mean we pass? You pass. You figured it out. You got to work as a team regardless of the situation. So they all pass. They're all on a team. And then they go chase a cat. That goes well. Naruto's pissed off because they're not actually getting any cool missions. So they decide to put him on an escort mission. And at that point... they get introduced to a drunk old man who insults Naruto, so Naruto wants to hurt him a lot, but he can't because otherwise they don't get paid. And then they leave the village, and they have to go and see if they can get this guy back to the land of waves where he's from, so he can build a big old bridge and do stuff like that, and then ninja assassins with Freddy Krueger hands attack. And Naruto freezes up. They rip Kakashi into 100 pieces, and then Sasuke shows off his badass moves, and yeah, but turns out Kakashi is not dead, and he takes them both out with a single headlock. And he's like, yeah, I had to figure out what was going on here. So, old man, you lied to us. There's a big deal about this whole thing because these assassins were after you, not us. We should go back to the village. Also, Naruto, you're poisoned, and we're going to have to get that, poison blood out of you. Naruto doesn't like the idea of going back, so he stabs himself in the hand to get the blood, get the poison out. He's like, I'm never gonna freeze up again. I'm gonna be the best there is. I'm gonna impress everybody and blah blah blah. You know, the usual Naruto thing. And Kakashi's like, hey Naruto, that was pretty cool, but if you keep doing that, you're gonna die. So yeah, they gotta fix him up. Anyway, they decide to keep going with the mission, and they are heading off to the land of waves. Possibly gonna fight some more assassins. Possibly gonna fight an assassin voiced by Steve motherfucking Bloom. Looking forward to that if we continue watching this. Anyway, that's Naruto.
Yep.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I realized I was kind of just wall-to-wall audio there with just me for a while. I didn't really give anyone else a whole lot of room to speak. Anyone lost?
Not really. There
Okay.
wasn't really a whole lot to say, if I'm going to be very honest.
Okay, so plot. Let's talk plot. I'll start plot. I enjoyed this plot. I think it's kind of that same thing that we've been seeing before with episode 4. It's time for the big test, and it kind of extends into episode 5 as well. But I think it's done well. I think primarily the big part of this is the introduction of Kakashi, and I'll bring that up in character. But he is really driving a lot of the necessary stuff for this plot. Outside of just the test, he's also explaining extra things about what's going on in the world right now and what they need to be capable of moving forward. Because yeah, they're all kids and they all treat everything like kids. This is the first time they're really getting thrown in the deep end. And even though I'm pretty sure at no point during that training exercise Kakashi would have killed them, I could also say he's kind of putting them in the scenarios where they could easily be killed and should be prepared for that, which is a lot more than they're used to handling. So I'm and then actually being thrown directly afterwards into a mission where someone did just try to kill you. It's kind of raising the stakes for them a little bit, which I'm happy about. I'm glad that it's not taking a long time to get to the real ninja work and what they have to be doing in all this. So I'm a yay for the plot. Gav?
Yeah, I really liked these episodes of Naruto. I think that the plot is pretty good, straightforward. They're learning how to be ninjas after they just graduated passed their exam is what I should say. And they're gonna go on missions to work as a team. So I think that's pretty straightforward. I'd give it a yay.
Yeah, I would give it a yay as well. I think it did a good job at presenting us with the sort of exam that we've seen a few times, but I think the focus on strengthening the group and making us care about them as a unit in a way and focusing on the teamwork and team building, I think really worked so that I could see, them all working together. And of course, like Al alluded to, I think the introduction of Kakashi was really good, although, that's more in character, but I think he really drove the plot a lot in these episodes, so I think in a way that sort of counts towards it. And I think we got to see, them even within this little short span of time kind of mature as characters and move on to their first real mission. So I thought the plot made a lot of sense and was pretty solid.
I'm gonna say for the plot that, yeah, as everyone's been saying, it's pretty straightforward. It's a combination of the test and, like some sort of more team building sort of plot lines, which is fine because these are three kids who don't necessarily get along, who kind of need to get along because they're all going to be stuck together for a while. And the teacher knows this and is like, yeah, no, you're going to, do the thing, or, one of you is going to go back, but everyone fails because they can't figure out how to work together. Even with the risk of one of them going back to the academy. So that was all good. And then I thought, like, them getting the mission stuff and getting the ball rolling there was good because then we get introduced to a new character, which we'll cover in character, obviously. But that's a plot line that I think will continue on moving forward into the next couple episodes.
Overall, I'm kind of a soft yay with the plot. I liked, even though it is a message that we've seen a bunch of times before, in cartoons growing up, teamwork makes the dream work. I think the way they handled it in the first two episodes, I thought were pretty well handled. And I have to admit, I kind of actually thought in episode 5 that Kakashi was going to be serious about, kicking them all out. And so whenever he said, oh, nope, that's how you pass, I was like, okay, that kind of caught me off guard, but in a good way. I kind of liked that. And then episode 6 is kind of like a setup episode for like another mini arc or something like that. Any issues I have with the plot is mainly with characters, so we'll get to that next round. So yeah, I'm kind of a soft yay on that.
Seems to be the general area. People in the soft yay to a yay area. Before we move on to characters, I think it is worth pointing out. Yeah, there was that whole thing about someone could have got dropped from the group. If we had to drop someone from the group, who?
I mean, I'll be honest.
Would be whose?
I mean, in all honesty, I'd probably be Sakura because, like, not because she's the only one that hasn't really shown her powers yet. Naruto and Sasuke have. So.
Yeah, just trying to find that solid segue into character stuff, Yeah, why don't you lead us off?
Okay.
I might have shown my hand a little bit.
So, I guess we got, like, well, a little bit more about, like, Naruto and Sasuke, in these episodes, like, with their abilities. So you can see that they've, like, we can see at least Naruto's, like, grown as, like, a ninja, from going and barely being able to, like, do, like, pass his exam to, like, just being pretty, like, gung-ho about fighting Kakashi and just pulling out all those moves, man. Like, he just really went for it. And then Sasuke, like, we didn't get to see him use, like, his abilities as much before, but you get to see him use it now and just how, like, ruthless he is. Sakura didn't really do anything. So except in the third episode where she's stepped in front of that bridge builder guy whose name I forget.
Tazuna?
But she stepped in front of, like, him to, like, an attempt to save him from the ninjas that were, I guess, trying to attack them. And she also was, like, saying, like, we should go back and, like, get Naruto healed up and stuff. And I thought that, like, she was a lot... And then when she shared her lunch with Naruto in the other episode, like, before this, like, I thought she was acting a lot more caring than she had in the first 3 episodes. So I thought that was good for her, like, development as a character. And we meet Kakashi, and he's kind of like, reminds me of Eraserhead from My Hero Academia at first, like, where he's like, you guys suck, I'll fail you. Like, I'll kick you out, like, you won't be in ninjas anymore. Kind of like how Eraserhead was like, I'll expel you guys, like, you don't deserve to be heroes. And but then he, like, shows that he actually, like, does care about them and about them, like, getting better, and he thinks that they do have potential, so he is willing to help them. And I don't know, I just really like Kakashi a lot. I think he's a cool character. Like, I don't know.
He's got that, like, Eraserhead, laid-back dad energy mixed with that Gojo sex appeal.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure, we'll go with that.
I'll go with that. I'd go with that any day of the week.
Yeah. Yep. And I really like Kakashi, and the other characters have, like, shown some good, like, improvements too. So I'd give the characters a yay.
Yeah, I think overall I would also give the characters a yay. I had some problems mostly with Sakura because I think she just keeps getting more annoying. I don't know. She just revolves around Sasuke way too much. And I think I've heard later on she gets better, like way later on, like
Way
seasons
later.
later.
No. Series later.
Oh, not until Shippuden, eh?
She
Wow.
tries. But
Yeah,
you know.
I've seen like little bits and pieces, but not enough to. I don't know. I just don't like her right now. She just. Sometimes I question, does she even want to be a ninja? It seems like she's literally just following Sasuke around. That's the only reason that she's here, and I just don't like that as her entire motivation. And it doesn't really seem to be even, like, problematized. It just seems to be there for laughs. Like, if it was at least, like, a conflict, like, she never thinks about herself and she just places everything on caring about Sasuke. I don't know if that becomes a thing later or if it's just, once again, played for laughs. But right now, it kind of irritates me. I just don't know why she's there. Sasuke and Naruto have been pretty good. You know, Sasuke's a little tropey, but part of me thinks he kind of built the trope. I mean, the trope was there before, but he strengthened the trope. I don't know. So,
Yeah.
he's, like, such a big part of that trope that I'm kind of like, I can forgive him for just being that. But,
Yeah, it's kind of like Rey from Evangelion and Asuka.
Yeah.
They didn't invent their character types, but,
they
like...
solidified it.
Yeah.
They absolutely did. And I feel like Sasuke absolutely solidified whatever we call this trope that is
Angsty
Sasuke.
boy.
Angsty boy, yeah,
Yes.
whatever it is. He just, like, he does it well, I guess. He's a good example of the trope. So I like him, you know, and he's definitely the most capable one right now out of the three. I think Naruto, though, you know, he's got the energy. I still like Naruto a lot, even though he's kind of, like, goofy. I think it works for him. And we got some moments, too, where he kind of considered, you know, the team building, and he kind of considered what happened to Kakashi's friends before, and that it's more serious, you know, it's not all fun and games to be a ninja, which I think was the major takeaway that I liked about these episodes, was that in the end, I think they all got a better idea of what they're getting themselves into, and that it's not just a one track, like, I'm gonna get revenge, I'm gonna be Hokage, I'm gonna marry Sasuke, I don't know, but it just seemed like they saw a bit of a bigger picture, at least a little bit. And yeah, what more can I say about Kakashi? He's awesome.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of cool skills that I feel like we've only touched the surface upon so far. I'm sure he has a lot of other ones. I really like him as a character. And I think we got to see some different sides of him right away, which was pretty cool. We got to see some of his deeper layers, too. Like, we know he has a tragic backstory. but we also saw kind of a little bit of like his fun chaoticness, but also his, I don't know how to say it except eraserheadness, kind of like what Kat was saying.
Laid back, kind of casual
Yeah.
energy.
But once again, he kind of, I don't think he invented the trope, but he's a huge part of the trope, so it just like works for him to be that kind of teacher. I think that's one of the things is that they really put together a lot of iconic characters that sort of, I don't know, built a lot of what shonen characters would be like later, or at least, like I said before, solidified it. So I think the characters are really good overall. I would give it a yay.
So I'm not gonna really parrot a whole lot of what Gavin Yin said because that's a lot of what they've already said is kind of like my thoughts. We do get some, team building, which is, I guess, good for character development because they're kind of learning to, like, yeah, even though I don't like this person, I have to get along with them and work together because we are a team, which was good because, again, they're like, 10, 12? They kind of need to be taught this because they are children. Again, kids don't really think of anything except really themselves because it's more like the I, me, mine kind of mindset, especially when you're that age. And then the only other thing I will really talk about is like the Mist Village ninjas, which I thought was kind of interesting because they introduced them as like the antagonists for right now. So we don't really get a whole lot of them. It was kind of just cool to sort of see like their power set kind of. And then we got to sort of meet their leader very briefly, Zabuza, whose name I only recalled because nerd osmosis from when I had a friend who was really into Naruto, and I remember her listing off favorite characters, and Zabuza was one of them, and I'm just like, oh, okay, I don't know what these names mean, but I guess I'll, like, compartmentalize it and put it away in a file folder somewhere, and I heard the name, I was like, okay, this sounds familiar, so this is what that name was from that I remember now. Anyway, he's voiced by Steve Bloom. What else can you say about that?
Oh, that was Steve Bloom? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You don't hear him for very long, but that is Steve Bloom.
I was gonna say, I'm like, this sounds like that voice.
He's a number of characters in this show, but that's his first one.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm kind of interested to see, like, him and his power set and, like, all this, like, what he does, because he's basically, like, I guess, like, the main antagonist for this next arc that we're gonna be doing, at least with the bridge builder. So, yeah, I'd give it a soft yay.
So for me, with this round, when it comes to characters, I'm not going to count the bridge guy because I have a feeling he's not going to be an important character. He'll be in the next episode or two, and then he'll be gone. And then I'm not going to count the wind people yet because we literally just got introduced to them. So there's really no they have a cool background, they have a cool design, but I won't count them as characters. So really, when it comes to characters, there's what
the wind people.
Well, the people that's the wind ninjas or something. Like
Oh, the mist ninjas. Yeah.
Oh, the
no,
mist,
wind
yeah.
ninjas are totally different. That's a much later arc. Like, Gara is not here yet.
Oh, never mind. I guess I accidentally gave a spoiler without even realizing it. Anyway, so mainly when it comes to characters, I'm going to be focusing on the four that we had for the first two episodes: Naruto, Sakura, Sasuke, and Kakashi. I pretty much, like everyone said, I liked Kakashi as a mentor. I liked his approach to teaching, and I liked his personality. It was serious enough to know where, he does have their best interests in heart, while also what's best for the clan. I especially like, his analogy on, survival and, always making sure, like pretty much his whole speech whenever we punished the three, I pretty much solidified as a character. Yeah, that's good. I'll come back to Sasuke in a little bit. Sakura, yeah, for right now, she's kind of the useless girl that's kind of head over heels to over Sasuke. That's all she wants, and yeah, it's kind of annoying, but I am going to piss off a lot of people, mainly our host, by saying this. I cannot fucking stand Naruto. I tried.
Okay.
I really tried to like him. After last week, or the last time we did it, I was like, okay, maybe he'll grow. Maybe he still needs a lot more time to grow, because honestly, he was irritating the fucking shit out of me. Remember how you were saying with Asta, like, I want to be the hero, I want to be the king, you know, like take a shot every time he says that? Take a shot every time Naruto says believe it. You'll be fucking plastered.
Okay.
That's fair.
These episodes, I will grant you that. It was not as bad the last
Like-
three.
Because, like, literally every 5 minutes with him, like, in less than 5 minutes, like, I'm gonna be Hokage, believe it, I'm gonna beat him, believe it, believe it, believe it, I don't fucking believe in Naruto, you're not showing me otherwise.
Kill the non-believer.
Yeah, I'm sorry, and I understand what his point of the character is right now. He's grew up isolated, he doesn't know how to socialize, he's trying to fit in, he's trying to prove himself. I get that, I respect that. But maybe if you didn't act like a dingus all the time, maybe people would like you. Yeah, I know he has the unfortunate curse that's placed in him that's kind of got the bias in him. But, like, again, I want to sympathize with him, but he just acts so fucking annoying to me. I can't fucking stand it.
I mean,
And
maybe if people weren't rude to him, maybe he wouldn't be a dingus. I'm just gonna say now.
Well, okay, I understand that, but it's not like I want to watch that. I don't want to watch an annoying person.
I mean,
but
I'm gonna just say this: we were all probably annoying when we were 10.
oh, I definitely know I was annoying. I was probably an annoying little piece of shit. That's why when we had home movies back in the day, I cringed every time I watched it. Because it was like, oh my gosh, I was like this. But yeah, I couldn't stand Naruto, and maybe he's starting to learn himself. Maybe he's starting to learn a little bit better at the end, you know, when he got that humility lesson and, you know, was taking the action to, you know, suck the poison out of him after he froze. Maybe he'll finally, you know, start to rebound. But, like, honestly, I was more invested with Sasuke, and there was times where I was thinking to myself, you know, I'd probably be a lot more invested if Sasuke was the main character and Naruto was the sidekick. I'd rather follow him. I'd rather learn about his tragic backstory and follow him on his quest for revenge. And I'm sure they do that in both series, but I'd rather him be the focus instead of, you know, believe it, ramen. So I'm a meh with the characters.
Yeah, those are all valid points. I will not say one way or the other whether Sasuke's big revenge plot becomes a major thing or not. It does, like 100%.
We
there was
all
no
know.
way it wasn't gonna. But
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying, and I'm here. Like, I don't want to repeat a whole lot of stuff because we've kind of mentioned what the highlights of this were. Kakashi, fantastic introduction for a main character, especially a mentor character, kind of like teaching us kind of the same lessons that we've seen in other ones, power of friendship and all that, but in honestly a more realistic, practical way. You know, Naruto hasn't developed a whole lot since the last 3 episodes gave him some development, but there is still the potential there after episode 6. So I think that's kind of the same kind of development that they're all kind of having. They're all realizing, okay, there are real consequences to the world that we are inhabiting, and we need to be not just aware of them, but ready to face them because they're going to come out of nowhere. Yeah, I thought that was good. I think well, I should go into world building for that, but I'll save that. Yeah, overall, I think that I would be a meh here because for most of the cast, there's not a ton of character development outside of the realization of, oh, we can actually die doing this. But Kakashi's introduction really brings it up for me. I'm gonna give it a yay. I really like Kakashi. And yeah, he brings a lot of power to this. I already mentioned the description of him in someone else's thing, but yeah. So Yeah, I'm a yay here, and yeah, like I think the only real detractors are like, you're right, Naruto doesn't have a whole lot of development yet. Sakura is like it's kind of a shame with Sakura because it's like the first 3 episodes did nothing to ingratiate her to the audience, and but it was mostly like we just don't like her because she's mean. I really feel like had she shown any bit of usefulness in these 3 episodes, people might not have hated her as much, but this one went to prove like, not only does she not have a great personality that we don't like, but she's also useless in every scenario. So
She fainted like 3 times.
Yep.
no, just twice.
Just twice?
Just
Okay.
twice. What happened to her? She froze up talking about herself. She got hypnotized super easily. Got ambushed and hypnotized super easily. Let's count that as 2. Passed out. Woke up, passed out again. She did one nice thing for Naruto.
Some Sakura stands are gonna
And
come out of the woodwork.
There aren't any. There aren't any. And any who are know that she's not any good until Shippuden.
We may have talked about this last time, but I kind of liked her Lizzie McGuire type moments where like her inner thoughts portray something different to what she's actually saying in real life.
Yeah, it's
Like
kind
her
of
inner
funny.
thoughts.
It's fine, but it's still. She is just not good in this series.
Yeah,
and I know people are saying
I know
like,
a lot of
she
Naruto fans don't like her.
she jumped in front of the guy. I'm like, is that really helping?
No, but it was like, it's a little bit better than the first,
Fair.
than the other episodes we've seen her in.
I mean, she could
Maybe.
have done nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys are right. She did just the bare minimum above what could be considered nothing.
Exactly.
So I guess she gets points for
Progress.
that. I don't mean to hate on her so much. I like to be optimistic and have like a silver lining to everything and whatnot. In Shippuden, she's useful. She is, especially early on, but it's gonna be a while before she gets anything. I don't mean to spoil, but it's gonna be a while before she becomes really relevant.
I just wish that they'd make a likable female character.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, they
Dave's not
stick
good at
the
that.
female character with 2 guys, and then she's usually either crushing real hard on the one, or she's just not nice. And Sakura does both.
I mean, well, no, that'd be a spoiler. Sorry. That'd be a spoiler that might be too relevant. Yeah, I'll just say, despite the failings of Sakura, I'm still a yay here. So, God, so where were we all? Kind of in the meh to yay, maybe even a soft yayish region.
That sounds about
I
right.
mean, everybody was a yay but me, so.
Yeah, okay. Let's move on into world building. Yin, you want to take this one?
Yeah, I feel like most of the world building here probably revolved around seeing some more of the power set, mostly through Kakashi, which I thought was interesting. I think it gave us a couple more of the moves that they do. And he talked a little bit more about what it means to be a ninja. They talked a little bit, I think, about the kind of missions that you're sent on, like the ranks and everything, and what it means to, I don't know, commission somebody for a certain rank. I remember Kakashi got mad that the guy kind of lied to them about that. So we got a little bit of the structure in terms of how missions operate and how, like, the ranking system works. I know that they talked about the hierarchy. The kids are pretty much on the bottom right now, so they got a long way to go before they would be at the level of somebody like Kakashi, who would go on like the major missions. So they're kind of just doing little things like finding cats right now. So yeah, I think we got a little bit of world building going on. I think we got a little bit with those mist people too, which was kind of interesting. I would give it, I guess, a soft yay right now. I feel like everything was pretty solid, although we didn't get a whole lot. I feel like we got enough about, like I said, especially the power sets, for it to be a pretty soft yay for me.
So, um, um, so, aside from what Yin said about like their hierarchy and structure and like all that stuff, we also did get a little bit of some like world building. So like we've got like five different lands, I
Yes.
suppose, that are like sort of like territories that like have secret ninja villages in them. So there was like the one of fire, water, lightning, wind, and
Heart.
I
Go
want to say
planet.
earth.
It was Earth, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. And they each have their own hidden village, which for fire it's leaf, for water it's mist, for lightning it was
Clouds.
can't remember it
Clouds.
off the top of my head. What?
Clouds.
Clouds? Ah, the cloud village. For wind it was sand, the sand people. And then for earth it was stone. So they're kind of like even just building out the world itself a little bit so that way like we can come into contact with ninjas from other places, which they do immediately in that episode with the mist ninjas that they run into. Because they're from the water place. And they also basically say the ninja presidents, like each land mass, like has a ninja president. And they're all basically given titles. Like they're called the Shadow. And they're called the Shadow of whatever their land is. Like we've got the Hokage, Mizukage for water. And then it just goes down the list. So I feel like that, aside from like establishing like the different villages that we have, I feel like that did good for some world building. I'd give it a soft yay. Because it feels like it's developing it out like quite a bit more, but they actually like had to sort of like explain it. Granted, it was more in like a teaching moment because Kakashi is the one explaining it to the kids. So, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much what what Yin and Chibi were describing from the episodes. I liked as far as the world building is concerned. You learn more about the different areas of the Avatar world, the Naruto world, and the and how the different properties of each. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I imagine it's going to get it's going to get explored a lot more later on, but it's a good introduction, and yeah, it feels like since he's teaching it to the kids, he's basically teaching us to the audience as a result. So yeah, overall, it's a yay for me with world building.
Yeah, I'm a yay here too. I normally, when we get like a bit of like an exposition dump or a lore dump or something, I'm not always a fan of it, but I think it works well enough here, because of the teaching kind of platform. I think we've kind of mentioned this before in some other series, whether it was like I think like My Hero Academia or Blue Exorcist or a number of other things that actually involved teaching people stuff. I think you're fine because they're students learning, and kind of so are we. So yeah, I think that kind of works. Despite the fact, like, if you're going to a ninja school, which is kind of technically like a military academy, you should already know a little bit of world geography and some other stuff. But
You would think. You would think.
outside of that, for me the big thing, I mean, obviously I know what they're capable of, probably more than you guys, but like for me the big thing when I first watched this show, was suddenly people are breathing fire and stuff like that. Like that was like some of the powers that we see here. We've seen the clone thing, which is very cool, but so far that was really the only big move up until this point that we've seen. We've seen them use like replacement stuff or the clone thing or like even transformation, all very ninja stuff. But suddenly people are breathing fire or turning into puddles of water and then changing back and stuff like that. And I'm suddenly like, okay, exactly where are all the like what are the possibilities here? There are now so many. So like that kind of really it feels like the tip of the iceberg because it is the tip of the iceberg. I don't want to like sway something there, but like it really opened up a lot of possibilities there. And I think that's part of the reason why I'm a yay here.
I'm also a yay, and yeah, I basically agree with what everyone else has said. So, but like about the whole teaching, about the world and kind of like the ninja way and other stuff about like the ninja hierarchy through like Kakashi talking about it, and then also through I guess like the Hokage talking about it when he was discussing, you know, the like missions and stuff. That I think that works in this situation for world building, for like, you know, trying to like teach us more about what's going on in Naruto exactly. Um and it works, so yeah.
Yeah, seems an overall yay, soft yay, in that general ballpark for world building. Let's move on to art and animation. Chippy, you want to take this one?
Yeah, sure. So, for the art and animation here, again, it's like early 2000s animation, and it's all pretty much hand drawn. I can't really. Some of the fight scenes were good. Not overly spectacular, but they were fine. Um, a lot of the expressions when they're like getting mad or just weird emotions, like it's all very funny, which I'm just like, ha, okay, crazy face. I don't really have a whole lot to say about it. I think I'd give it a soft yay though.
Yeah, I mean, for the time that it came out, it's pretty good. And yeah, it still kind of holds up. I like the effect or the animation when the guy came out of the puddle. That I thought that was pretty cool, and that was like what Al said earlier. That was a really unique power that we hadn't seen up until that point. So I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, nothing really stood out, but nothing was bad either. It was just kind of pretty good. So it's a kind of a soft yay for me. Oh, and the art's good too. I should mention that.
Um, I think I'm still a yay here from before. I like the art style of this world. This kind of pseudo modern, ancient kind of weird combo that they have that it's very unique to itself. I'm a fan of that. You're right. Some areas they were cheaping out a little bit. Other areas, again, like that particular fight when they're being ambushed, I think they upped the quality of that animation and some of the stuff that was going on because they're like, we need to really push the gravity of this situation. And I thought that was great. Outside of that, like character designs and stuff, we don't see a whole lot of new character designs other than say the Mist Village people and Kakashi a little bit. But like it shows a bit of the versatility of the world. Like everyone's wearing some form of military uniform, but at the same time they can each look distinct from each other in one way or another, which I think is good. Yeah, the only thing that I might have to dock points for one thing, and this is kind of the first that we're seeing of this. Lengthy flashback sequences to pad episodes.
Is that plot?
You could consider it also kind of plot, though I would also say at least should be mentioned in the point of animation.
Really?
Well, it's difficult to say. I could talk about how it affects the series later, but, you know, whenever... I feel like I should just talk about it here because we're already past plot.
That's fair.
Like the whenever Naruto does the shadow clones and attacks
Yes.
Kakashi, and he's like, oh, he can use shadow clones. We get this whole sequence flashing back to the first episode where he did it.
Oh, yeah.
Now we're binging this basically, so we don't need that sort of flashback thing. Part of me could make the excuse for, if you're watching this week to week, if someone misses a week or something, or they're just jumping into the show at a random point or something, you might need these things to put things into context a little bit better. Like, I'm sure if you started at episode 3, not having watched any of the ones before, him suddenly coming out of the water with 7 different people that all look like him would be a little weird, and that flashback probably would help. For us, it really doesn't, and it kind of just pads the episode a little bit. If you wanted to do that, maybe just have it be 5 to 10 seconds of, like, that quick memory of, like, all those clones. And, like, oh, so the rumors are true. He can do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we didn't need the whole thing.
It was
I
an
will
omen
also-
of things to come.
It is. It's one of the things that Naruto is famous for, padding through heavy use of flashback. And it's-
Flashbacks become like half the episode.
Yes. To some degree, yes.
I will say that. Oh, what?
But I'll say later, sometimes when they did it, they would use different kinds of animation to show a different perspective of it, or something else, which could sometimes add to it. Here, it is literally just the same animation from episode 1, which to some degree is also sort of a way of just, if we just desaturate it, we could just reuse it somewhere else. Way of kind of cheaping out on your animation budget. I get it. This is a 100+ episode series. That's going to happen sometimes. It's just... I just need to dock a few points for that because it's a habit that they got into that I really wish they hadn't later on.
I watch a lot of modern anime that do the same exact thing. They reuse animation for not just, the opening credits, but also like throughout. So I'm kind of used to it at this point.
That I hear what you're saying. I do.
Oh no,
You're
I'm not saying it's
wrong,
not a problem. It's a way for them to cut costs, and yeah,
And
it is a
sometimes it's
problem. I'm
fine.
just saying. Yeah.
Sometimes it's fine. I thought in My Hero Academia, where like Deku's thinking about, oh, I'm running in again. There was like a 5-second thing of him like flashing back to the first episode where he ran in. That's fine. You want to use that to highlight the similarities of a situation or to emphasize a theme or a feeling or something. That's great. When it's like a 1.5 minute to 2 minute sequence where we are literally just recapping everything that happened in that previous episode, which we probably already remember because we already watched it, it becomes padding.
Yeah.
Like I said, this would have been fine if we had just shown the shot of him with like 100 clones around that one guy and Kakashi just being like, so the rumors are true. Like, that would have been fine just to emphasize it. At least shows like also Kakashi is aware of everything that's going on around him.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
he was given prior knowledge to stuff. That's fine. It was very padding.
I would say that even given that, if had they used the original Japanese opening, I don't know if it was in the English opening because I haven't seen it quite as much as I've seen the Japanese one, but it shows him with shadow clones in the opening. So
Yes.
it's not like anyone who hasn't seen the opening wouldn't know that this is a thing he could do.
Yeah.
So,
I
again, it's unnecessary.
I'd have to look back at the actual clips they use, but I'm pretty sure it's brought up in the English opening as well. So yeah, I'm actually gonna give it a soft yay here because I'm starting to see some of the things that this show became a little bit notorious for. Despite that, it's still very solid, I think.
So I thought the animation was fine. I think that I like the facial expressions, like how Chibi was talking about, like when they do something like real goofy, they like they'll make a face that like it's just real funny to look at. It's just really interesting, like the style that they use to do it. Just very expressive. I still like I don't really remember much about the flashbacks because I watched like the episodes 4 and 5 like a while ago, and then I watched like 6 tonight, so it was like spread out. So I don't remember much, but I believe you that they were using it like, you know, excessively. But yeah, I mean, I guess I'd give it like a soft yay because like, I mean, the animation isn't like superb, but I still think it's pretty good for what it is.
Yeah, I don't have much to add. I think you guys kind of said everything that was on my mind. I'm probably going to give it a soft yay too.
Okay, sounds softish yay all around. Let me move along into sound and dubbing. Envy, you want to take this?
Sure. I off the top of my head, I don't know the English cast, but I will say I like Sasuke's voice. I really liked Kakashi's voice. I thought he was my favorite performance so far. I'm kind of mad with myself. I didn't recognize Steve Bloom as the villain. That kind of was that kind of was like, I love Steve Bloom, but and as annoying
Oh, I
as
love
she
Steve Bloom,
is,
too.
as annoying as she can be, I didn't mind Sakura's voice, and I'm sorry, I have no ill will towards the voice actress that voices Naruto, but I can't stand Naruto's voice. That's part of the reason why I hate him, because I just find his voice grating. It's like Neil. I'm sorry. I just couldn't. I tried to give it another chance. I just couldn't. I'd rather.
You're
I'd
not
rather,
the first person to say it.
I mean, I know everyone loves to harp on Asta's voice, and believe me, Asta's voice is annoying as shit. But I think I'd rather listen to him sing an opera than hear Naruto talk ever again. So I'm gonna give it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but the music is pretty good. I like the. It's kind of cliche, you know, the traditional, you know, ninja sounding instruments and effects, but it works for because it's a ninja show. So I'm gonna give a soft yay, mainly for the background music and some of the voices that I liked.
I'm gonna say, at least in regard to the Asta thing, I don't know that I found his dub voice that bad. I think a lot of the ill will comes from back when that was like subbed and it was a super screechy voice. I feel like I remember seeing clips of that. I could be wrong though.
Oh no, I know.
I
I
don't know.
just
Did
remember
you
from.
watch any
I
of
just
that,
remember. No, I didn't watch any of the show, but
Okay.
I just remember people were saying that they found Asta annoying, and I thought part of it was because of his voice.
I remember seeing clips of it when it
No,
was
for
subbed,
us.
and yeah, it's pretty bad. I didn't think its dub was nearly as bad. That might just be me though. That's not entirely relevant though, so I'm digressing a little bit. I'm a yay here. I think everyone does a pretty good job. I don't have a problem with Naruto's voice. I might be one of the few. I don't know. Kakashi again. These are Kakashi's episodes. He just kind of shines, like in everything that he's doing, and I like how like he'll like have that sort of monotone sort of thing going the whole time, and then out of nowhere we'll kind of like put on like kind of a. I liked it when it's his turn to fight with Sasuke, basically, because he's going through them one by one. He's like, whoa, what? Now you're going to fight me? My Sasuke. And he's like kind of like poking fun at him a little bit. And he's kind of doing that with Naruto as well. And like even like he just kind of knows what tone to have with every particular situation. And the majority of the time, it's a very even, calm tone, but it works. And it especially works whenever he decides to drop that a little bit and add a little extra flavor to it. We have not got enough of Steve Bloom yet for me to really talk about Steve Bloom. I always am down to talk about Steve Bloom. But yeah, I really love the soundtrack from this. Like, I think I mentioned this last time that we listened to it. Naruto Naruto's music and sound design is exactly like its art style. It is unique to it and it alone. You will not hear Naruto music anywhere else but here and possibly YouTube poops.
And Area 51.
Yeah, well, were they playing the stuff in the background when they were running, or were they just running? That's the question. Yeah. But yeah, I like it. I like the traditional music, the traditional instruments, and the choruses, and all that sort of stuff, mixed with the modern guitar and some of those other elements. I think it has its own identity, and I really love that about it. And I'm a yay on it.
Yeah, I'm a yay on the sound and dubbing. I think that, like, I mean, I kind of agree with Envy that, like, Naruto's voice is a little grating, but, like, I think it works for, like, his character, so I don't think it's, like, a bad dubbing job. Like, like, I think that it fits for who he is as a person. So I don't mind it for that reason. And then all the other voices are, like, fitting for their characters as well. I like Kakashi's. And yeah, I love the music. Like, I always, like, notice it. Like, I don't tend to notice the background tracks for things when I am watching a show. Like, to be honest, like, that's, like, the last thing I remember about a show when I watch it. Except when I'm watching, like, Naruto. Like, I actually, like, pay attention to the music that's playing and, like, the sound effects that are being made. So I'm definitely a yay for that.
I would agree that I think the music and the sound effects are a strength here. I think Kakashi's voice was really good and fit him well. I agree with everything Al said about that. I don't know if I'm in the minority, but I think Naruto's voice is one of the strongest. I think it actually really suits the character. And I don't know, it fits his age, it fits his personality. I actually really like his voice. And I'm actually not that crazy about Sasuke's voice. I don't know. I like it better in Japanese. I'm pretty sure I've heard the sub before, and I just think it just works better for me. I think the dub is a little bit weird for him. He kind of sounds too old. I know he's supposed to be like a mature, I don't know, kind of like he aged beyond his years kind of character. But he definitely sounds like 35 to me. I don't know. He doesn't sound like a kid. Kind of bothers me, but other than Sasuke, which I think the actor is doing a good job, like, I think he is doing well, it just is off for me in terms of, like, this kid. I don't know, but even then, I'd still give it a soft yay.
I'm gonna also give this a yay here. I'm not gonna repeat too much of this for what was said for it, because yeah, the music and sound is great. I will say, yeah, like, voice acting for me, at least, I thought it was done pretty well. I'm also thinking Naruto's voice is probably one of the stronger voices because, again, and I don't want to repeat all of what Ian said, but I agree with a lot of their points that, like, yeah, it fits his character, it kind of fits his personality, it fits his age. Also very much agreeing with Sasuke sounding a little too old. I mean, yeah, Yuri Lowenthal's a great voice actor, but he is supposed to be 10. So yeah. I feel like it's kind of throwing me off a little bit.
His balls dropped super early.
He did.
Yeah. Like, I feel like they could have potentially got, like, maybe another voice actor or voice actress to, like, give a more mature sounding voice to a 10-year-old boy. Yeah. But I feel like they probably wanted to stick with the voice actors for as long as possible. So they probably just gave him an older sounding voice to begin with anyway. So that could potentially be the reason why he sounds so old. Yeah. But yeah. Anyway, yeah, as I said, I give it a yay.
Sounds overall in the yay territory for sound dubbing. Let's move on into openings and endings. I think I'm leading us off on this one. I talked about this the last time that we were here. I'm not a super big fan of Naruto's opening in this. It's definitely an ending song. At least it feels that way to me. Its actual ending I enjoy. It's not perfect, but I like it. I think it kind of works, especially kind of like, because I think it's kind of hitting on Naruto's childhood, his backstory, his loneliness a little bit, and I think that is nice. It's a nice song. The opening just feels kind of just off to me for some reason. I can't explain why. Like, it's either the song doesn't work for the show, or it doesn't work as an opening in some way. It doesn't entirely, to me, match with what I'm seeing all the time with the animation. I'm not a big fan. Not that it's a bad song. It doesn't fit to me at all. And maybe this is like my like younger self hearing the English version that we were given, and I just liked it a lot better. I don't know, but yeah. So, good ending, not so great beginning, not so great opening. I'm gonna give it a meh.
I'd probably give it a meh too, just because I don't really care for, like, it's not that they're bad, but I don't really care for, like, the opening or the ending. And I think it's just, like, not hype enough for me for, like, the opening, and it's not, like, catchy enough for me, the ending. I don't know. Like, yeah. I don't even remember what I said last time, but yeah.
We could go check tape at some point. Not now.
Yeah.
We're doing something now.
Yeah.
I would probably give it something like a meh as well. I do like the opening. I think it's a pretty good song, and I still remember what it sounds like. However, I do think it's more like an ending. It definitely doesn't get me, I don't know, excited to watch or anything like that. It's super low key, which I don't think is necessarily a horrible thing for an anime opening. I think you can be a little bit different with it, but I don't know. It's okay. I like the ending, but yeah, it's probably a meh, maybe a soft yay.
So, yeah, like, the thing with the Japanese opening is that it's a bit of a slower song. Um, and I'm not really sure, like, why they would go for a slower song for the opening. Unless it was just that they're like, oh, yeah, we have a contract with this band to do maybe a couple songs for us for this studio, so they're just like, yeah, we'll use one of these. I don't know. I'm just speculating here. But I like the ending song. I think it's pretty. I will give it a meh simply because it's just like the opening's like not really something that gets me real interested to watch the show. It's more something that just kind of like, well, visually good to look at. It's just kind of eh.
Pretty much everything Al said I agree with 100%, so meh.
Yeah, it's a meh all around for opening ending.
I hear that Shippuden's openings are a lot better than the regular Naruto openings.
I don't know why they chose this for their opening. The second opening, had they started with that one, great. Would have been great. But they didn't. And I don't know why. I feel like maybe I should look it up at some point, but yeah. So yeah, let's move on to final thoughts. Gav, you're leading us on this one, I think.
Okay. Yeah, overall, I mean, I really like these episodes, and I think that they do like a good job of showing us different things, like the team building, like teamwork, and introducing Kakashi, and then also like giving us background for like the world building, stuff like that, and for introducing us into like a new mission. Overall, like, I'd give these 3 episodes a yay.
I think I would definitely continue watching this. I think that they've set everything up pretty well. I am interested in how the mission's going to go. I'm interested in where the characters are going to go. I feel like they all have their own goals. I want to see how they come together as a team a little bit more. Definitely want to see more of Kakashi. I think he's definitely a bright spot. So I think that they have built enough that I would certainly give it a yay in this category.
So while these 3 episodes were fine, I do feel that at this point it has kind of become a show I do feel that I would probably watch passively, just kind of like, oh, if it's on television, I'd probably just leave it on. Because while it's getting some plot stuff set up, like, I'm not necessarily 100% hooked in. And I don't really know why that is. If it's just the fact that, like, maybe I just feel like it's gonna drag a little bit. More than likely it is, because it's a very long-running show, and plot's gonna take a while. So, yeah, I feel like I'd probably give this, like, a meh to a soft yay.
All right. Let me be positive first before I sound like a sourpuss again. I like Kakashi. I like the background music. I like Sasuke. There are things about it I do like. However, if I'm going to be totally 100% honest, this is probably my least favorite show that we've watched in this tournament so far, and it's the only show that I've watched so far where I wasn't immediately interested in what was going to happen next that made me want to watch it. Like, if I never watched another episode of this version of Naruto, I wouldn't lose any sleep over it. I hate to say that because I know it's beloved. I hate to be that guy. I really hate to be that guy. If you love this show, then good for you. I have nothing against that at all. There's certain shows that I like that not a lot of people like. I mean, I know one off the top of my head, but I'm not going to ring that dead horse again. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe if I liked the main character better, I'd be more invested. But as it stands right now, I hate to say it, I'm kind of a meh.
Well, you weren't a nay, so I guess that's something. It sounded like you were going
because
for
there
a
was
nay
things
right
I liked. There was things I liked. It'd be a nay if it was like Berserk 2016, where there's like literally nothing good.
I love that. I love that one. I'm kidding. I don't think wait, was that the movies?
That was
or
the show, right?
Oh, we watched like a couple episodes of that. It wasn't
It
awful.
was
It
bad.
just looked bad.
It was bad.
Okay, it looked bad. It wasn't
I
horrible
could
in
not
and of itself.
continue, but the movies I could actually stand.
All right. Maybe we should watch those at some point after the tournament. I'm a yay here. And I know that's probably huge shock for everybody. But yeah, I don't think any of the 3 episodes here were as good as, say, episode 1, but they're also not as bad as I didn't enjoy episode 2 and 3 as much. And I think that it's kind of hitting its stride a little bit in its plot, its characters, and it's moving along at a for right now, a decent pace. And I like that the stakes have been raised. I feel like there were some other shows that we watched before where, I think that were good, but their biggest detriment was like there weren't any stakes. I'm thinking of My Hero Academia a little bit. Like I was really comparing this a lot to My Hero Academia this week. And, like, there were 2 episodes devoted to tests. And then an actual start of a mission kind of thing. Like, it parallels it a lot. And even in some of the characters in that. And yet, why is it that I really wanted to continue Naruto more? It's because the stakes were there. Sure, you know, I didn't think Kashi was going to kill anybody the first time that I watched it. But at the same time, I couldn't say for certain that he wasn't going to either. Which is...
Really?
Well... He straight up is trying to like teach them, like, yeah, you know, you guys might be on.
Teach you by killing you.
Well, he was kind of like, hey, might be put in a situation where someone gets taken hostage, and he's like, kill Naruto, or I'm gonna kill Sasuke. What are you gonna do at that point? Yeah, he's not actually gonna do anything, but then like immediately afterwards, they're almost assassinated, and it's like, that definitely was not happening in My Hero. Like, I felt like My Hero really could have had more of a chance had they just, like, dropped the safety net a little bit. And, like, the safety net is gone now, pretty much. And that...
It's ironic you say that because, like, literally a few episodes later in My Hero, the safety net drops.
I'm sure it does. And I'll watch it because I do want to watch that thing more. But it didn't drop it fast enough to beat Demon Slayer. In any case, I'm a yay here on Naruto because I feel like we're just starting to really enter the larger world of it and starting to see some of the more interesting elements of it. And I'm happy about that because I really like the world that they created for that show. So I'm a yay on final thoughts. Where does that put us overall? Somewhere in the soft yay area, I think.
Yeah. Sounds about right.
Well, let's get into it's the second contender for the night. 7 Deadly Sins. So, what happened in 7 Deadly Sins? So, they fought Gilthunder, and then they just yeeted him out of the forest after they got, like, just some info. Yeah, he was just looking to... Meliodas was just looking to, like, hey, where's my buddy who you guys got in prison? Oh, he's in Boss Prison. Don't worry, you'll see him soon. He'll be dead, or you'll be dead, or whatever. And then yeet, and they're off to the prison. And Meliodas ain't doing too good because he got cut real bad. So they got to go find a doctor, and it honestly kind of becomes an episode just where Diane is jealous of people for being short because she's not. And we get a little bit of her backstory about how she was kind of persecuted for being tall. Like, really, really tall. She's a fucking giant. And then the captain was the first person who was nice to her, and that's why she's fucking in love with him. And yet he doesn't really show any interest in her.
Nope.
Like,
Nope.
For as pervy of a dude as he is, here's a woman in love with him who has tits that are literally bigger than he is. And he does nothing with that. I'm genuinely like... It's a little baffling. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You have a point.
It's just, yeah. I don't know.
I didn't think about that when I was watching it, but then that's all I'm going to think about now.
Anywho, not super relevant other than the fact that he's like takes any opportunity he can to feel up Elizabeth, who is there. And yeah, so let's get to the highlight of these episodes. Boss Prison is run by the Weird Fang Knights, who are just straight up Power Rangers villains from the Mighty Morphin era.
Yeah.
100%. They're just like goofy looking costumes that just like, I'm like, oh my god, which episode are you guys from? When did Rita Repulsa make you guys? Like, there's a spider head person who controls insects. There is a metal demon face. They're all metal. They're all wearing armor. There's like a demon person who goes invisible and shit. There is weird looking. It's got a face like a person's face, and he's like I don't know. He's got a bell and he makes illusions, and another dude who has thorns. It's just a bunch of theme villains, and they all have like hammy ass voices that go along with all of them.
Yeah.
That's just, I'm feeling like a child again with these. Why are you guys not the main characters? Damn it. I don't know what it is. I'm loving the Holy Knights throughout this series. Great villains. Great villains. In one way, shape, or form. No Sir Twiggle today, but, you know. You take what you can get. Anywho, they are after the people coming to town to bust out the other sin that's in prison, Sexy Santa Claus, and so they got to get Meliodas to a doctor, and the doctor's feeding him some medicine and that, and Diane's going off to figure out how to do the thing. Meanwhile, in the prison, Sexy Santa hears that the Sins are in town, and he's a Sin, so he wants to go say hi. He's apparently been nailed to a wall for 10 years, hasn't spoken or seen sunlight or any kind of other thing, and he's just like, yep, that was relaxing, I guess. I'm gonna go leave now. And, some people try to stop him, and they can't because his wounds almost instantly heal. So they're gonna have a lot of trouble trying to stop him. Oh, by the way, the doctor poisoned Meliodas, so he's, air quotes, dead. We don't believe them, but, you know, he apparently died, I guess. All whilst an insect plague of insects who are spitting acid fly all over the place. And Diane, well, maybe this happened before. I think the insects happened before they killed Meliodas. Insects happened. Diane uses earthbending to smash all of them in a single blow. Then she runs off after her. Then they poison and kill Meliodas. Then Invisible Man shows up, tries to take Meliodas' sword, but he won't let go. Even in death, he will not let go of this sword for some reason. And so, seeing angry Meliodas, Mr. Invisible Man runs, because he knows he can't fight that. And then he chases him, and there's some, like, fighting with an Invisible Man, and then they lure him into a trap. He falls through some floorboards in an old house that is decrepit at this point, and Meliodas just beats the shit out of him. Then they go out chasing Diane. Diane comes back. Then we all hear the ringing of a bell, and it's the second guy's turn to fight, and he casts illusion on them so that Meliodas and Diane think each other is the evil Holy Knight, and they fight each other, and there's a little kid who is super sus. And then there's an insect swarm again, and Diane goes into the insect swarm to save someone, but really shouldn't have saved that person because he's the evil hypnotist knight, and he smacks some people around, and he smacks not Diane. He smacks Elizabeth so hard in the face that she catches his bell in her mouth and rips it off, so that he can't hypnotize people anymore. That was a sentence that, like, under different contexts would be, like, awful. Let's see here. What happens after that? Yeah, they come out of the hypnotism, squash the bug one. Meliodas punches the steel off the hypnotist dude and pretty much kills him. Like, I guess his head exploded from a gut punch or something like that. Then other Sin dude in prison gets out. I believe his name is Bon. And
Yes.
Bon lets someone attack him, but dodged and moved in a way so that they shaved off his Santa beard. Very impressive, by the way. Then he steals her armor, and he's like, damn it, I can't fit in this. What a shame. And he gets stabbed by Thornman, and he's like, you can't kill me. Ain't nothing ever gonna kill me. I'm gonna kill you. And he kills Thornman, so, you know, that was he did not get enough time to shine. Anyway, after that, they make it to prison, and then everybody runs into each other. And Meliodas and Bon are so happy to see each other. They start throwing each other through walls, and they basically start playing That's My Horse from Ed, Edd, and Eddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they tear, but it's
They literally destroy a building by arm wrestling.
yeah, it's an unstoppable force meeting an immovable object, but they're playing I I don't know if you guys ever watched the Goldbergs. We were watching that recently. They came up with a game where you wrap yourself in a couple blankets and two other people like hit you with like wiffle ball bats, and it's called "Can You Feel This?" So they just keep hitting you until like, "Can you feel this? Can you feel this? Can you feel this?" And you don't because you're wrapped up. But like that's basically what these two are doing. They're just two people, no brain cells, and too much muscle. And they destroy the place, and then they all go and have a nice dinner with the doctor who murdered Meliodas, and he came back to the life. I don't know if I've said that, but if it is not implied, it was implied.
Also remember that the only reason he did that is because the Holy Knights kidnapped his daughter, and they pretty much used that as leverage for him to work with them. But then once he realized, that they were up to no good, he had a change of heart. And I will admit, okay, Meliodas surviving his wound, I can kind of believe because he's an OP god character, but the doctor surviving his injury, I kind of call bullshit on that.
In the same way, it makes me think that Meliodas did some hoodoo voodoo magic. Anywho, they all have a nice little dinner together. Diane finally feels included because that was a plot thread, I guess. Elizabeth is told she is important to the plot. And, then they're all going to go off to find more sins. Also, Bond stole Eddie Murphy's jacket from his one HBO special. God, I forget which one that was. But it's like 2 sizes too small. But yeah.
But it looks good.
Yeah. Sexy Santa shaved his beard. Anywho, that's 7 Deadly Sins for this week. Plot. Yin, I think you lead us off on this one, yeah?
Plot. I think overall, the plot kept itself going. I think it managed to be character driven at times. I think the giant had some stuff going on, and even what's her face?
Elizabeth.
I don't know why I said Lucy. Elizabeth.
Does she remind you of Fairy Tale?
No, she actually doesn't. But the show in general has a bit of that tone, so maybe that's why I said Lucy. But yeah, even I think she had some stuff going on that kind of drove the plot too. So I kind of liked that about the plot. I don't know why, but I found myself, I don't know, like doing other things during it, or like not being super invested as much as I wanted to be. So I think there was just something that just I was not as engaged, or like I was not connecting very well. I don't know how to explain what it is though. That's kind of preventing me from fully doing that. But I felt like the plot in and of itself was pretty good. Maybe I'd give it a meh. But I'm going to have to try and formulate exactly why.
So I feel like, some of the plot is a bit character driven, for these episodes, at least with the plot threads that we get with, like, Deanne, and a little bit with Elizabeth. Overall, I feel like we're getting a good progression. We met another deadly sin, with Bon. We went from being in the middle of a fight to yeet, goodbye, and we're moving on to, like, Boss Prison, and just, it kind of feels like, wow, we spent a good bit of time, like, trying to, going from finding out where Bon is to Vaughn, being out within these 3 episodes, that I feel like it went fairly fine with some, like, character development in a little bit, but I'll get to that in characters. Overall, I would say it's a soft yay, because it's not, like, anything really groundbreaking, but I felt like it was still, doing its job.
Overall, for me, I was actually pretty entertained with the plot. I mean, it's not in a nutshell, it's basically, try and rescue Bond from the prison, or in that case, Bond just gets himself out, and you just have to deal with five crazy Power Rangers, or in Japanese case, Super Sentai villains. And but in that kind of sense, if you take a look, if you put yourself in the mindset of it's a Saturday morning cartoon, or if it's not meant to be taken absolutely seriously, it is pretty entertaining. And plus, I think there is some good character development, which I'll talk about in characters. But yeah, overall, it never had a dull moment. It always was moving itself forward, and there was times where I was kind of not so much on the edge of my seat, but like wondering what was going to happen next, especially whenever the one guy was trying to get the sword from Meliodas, and it was like, okay, what's going to happen? I knew he wasn't going to be dead, but I was thinking, like, okay, is he just going to take the sword, then he wakes up and beats the shit out of him? No, he beats the shit out of him while still holding on to the sword. I thought that was pretty clever. So yeah, I was thoroughly entertained throughout these episodes. I give it a yay.
I think I'm a soft yay here. I think, for the most part, yeah, the plot is moving. And, I think we got the majority of, like, the big major plot importance from the last three episodes. Not much has changed. At this point, we're really just collecting the other members of this group, which, should present its own challenges in that. And I can't say the prison itself presented its own challenge. It really wasn't a challenge for them to get in or out. But I think we're seeing more of the Holy Knights and the stuff that they can do and have done to people, which is at least helping us to feel and understand more of the motivation that these characters are having towards why they want to stop them. Like, we keep talking about all those knights looking like supervillains because they fucking are, and like all their powers are like just the villainous. I got no other way of putting it. They're Power Rangers villains, which I love. I'll get to that in character, but yeah, I mean, it's keeping me entertained for the most part, but it's also like it's not. I don't know. That's not that crazy of a plot or anything, or like not. I don't entirely know that I'm watching for the plot at this point. So I'm gonna give it a soft yay.
So the plot, let's see here. Well, I think the plot, kind of like you said, Al, is just like where they're collecting the sins right now. And they're, I guess, Elizabeth's whole thing is that, like, she wants to collect the sins so she can defeat, like, the Holy Knights. So I guess that's what the plot is, but right now it just kind of feels like, well, we're going to get the more people and introduce more characters, and that's fine. It's alright. Like, I think, like, for where it's at right now, it, like, is a fine plot. So I'd give it, like, a soft yay.
Oh, wait,
I already
win,
win, so I don't know why you're looking at me.
Alright, yeah, it kind of looks like overall a soft yay for most, if not all of us. Why don't we head into characters now? That means, Chibi, you're up.
Yep, it's me. So for characters, I'm gonna start talking about, like, more development-y stuff, and then I'll get to, like, new people that we just met. So for our characters, we get a little bit of background with Deanne and Meliodas and, like, the backstory of how they met, which definitely explains, like, her level of devotion to the captain. We also get to see how him and Bon, met each other, or at least, like, kind of, sort of, like, what their, partnership is like, I guess, in that, like, Meliodas is very much, like, don't touch my sword. And Bond's like, oh no, come on, let me see it. I want to see it. And Meliodas is just like, fuck off, no. um, but it kind of just shows that like they have a bit of a I guess call it a rivalry, even though it's kind of like sort of a funny kind of rivalry. Deanne even kind of describes it as, oh, boys will be boys. It, literally just quoting her. Um, and then Elizabeth, I will say, like, she doesn't really get a whole lot of, like, development, but she's there doing things, and, like, we do get confirmation, I guess, from the characters that, like, she's important in that, like, she basically, like, moves their hearts into action, I guess is basically how they describe it. Um, as far as, like, new characters, we obviously get introduced to Bon, who so far seems fun-ish, bit crazy. Kind of want to see how his, sin comes into play, although I do think, like, it's kind of come into play a little bit with him wanting to, like, have, that one Holy Knight's armor, you know, for himself, even though it doesn't fucking fit. And then, I feel like the new, Holy Knight villains that we got to see with, Golgius and Ruin and the couple of other ones that they introduced to us were all pretty interesting. They all have, like, their own little powers, like the one with the bugs, the other one with the illusions. So I think they're all, like, kind of interesting sort of villains, even though, like, we don't really get to see a whole lot of them. So yeah, as far as the characters go for this episode, I give them a soft yay.
Overall, with the with the characters, I'm gonna give it a yay. We don't. I mean, I said last time that besides his pervy nature, I didn't mind Meliodas as a character, and I thought this week he showed a little bit of layer to him. I mean, not major, but you know, he has his code of honor. He says that even if Elizabeth dies, he's still going to continue her mission, and I think that's pretty noble of him. And you know, he's from you know his flashback with Bond. They pretty much when he was trying to grab the sword, he pretty much said, "Yeah, never touch the sword." So obviously, there's a mystery of why that sword is so important to him. Bond, I think, is pretty entertaining, and it's mainly because of the voice actor. But I'll get to that when we do go into dubbing. But overall, he seems like a pretty fun, wacky, entertaining character. Same thing with the villains. They're Power Rangers villains, but in the best way. And they're also threatening and intimidating. They could all be pretty big threats to anybody just, you know, against the seven deadly sins. They're worse off. Diane got some decent development to her. I like that, you know, she's finally starting to see people can like her for who she is. And as far as Elizabeth, I will admit, throughout the first 2.5 episodes, I was kind of thinking, okay, can you stop being the damsel in distress for 5 minutes and stop crying, you know? Sir Meliodas, like, you take a shot every time she said that, you'd be dead. But at the end, when she starts to get more confidence, and specifically when she went into the insect swarm to say what she thought was a kid, I thought, okay, you know what? She's finally growing a pair. She's finally taking action and assertiveness. Obviously, she doesn't have any powers right now, but that doesn't mean she still doesn't want to fight. So I thought that was good and noble of her. So they're not the most complex characters in the world, and we've seen their character traits before, but I think for the most part, they work for what's been presented so far. And, you know, the doctor, you know, turning around, I think that was pretty noble of him too. But yet again, I still call bullshit on how he didn't die from that sword slash. He would have bled out in no time. So yeah, I give it a yay.
I feel like I'm a soft yay here. I think we did get some development from people. Others, like, I don't know. I don't see the point of Elizabeth at this point. We were told that she inspired them to fight, and yet I don't buy it entirely. Like, I think she just got people, like, I think she just kind of gave Meliodas a general direction. I guess that's motivation. But outside of that, I really feel like Meliodas at this point is running this whole enterprise. I don't know that she's super relevant to anything anymore. I'm hoping she does become it, because otherwise she's... I mentioned last time she was just kind of a sexy lamp. She's kind of still a sexy lamp here. Diane gets some backstory, and, like, you know, we hear about, like, some of the prejudice that she went through, and, you know, that's good. We see why she likes the captain, when I have to think that most women would not. Yeah, I'm going to be honest. Like, I don't think the main cast has changed a whole lot, or has really developed a whole lot. We're not seeing a whole lot new from them. Other than Bon, who we just met, and he seems fun. But also still in that realm of, like, they're just kind of doing stuff because they want, just they just kind of, I guess, want to do it for reasons. The real shining star for me, and I've said this before, is the villains. The villains are fantastic. I loved everything about these, like, Weird Fang people. Costumes, themed powers and characters, just hamming the shit out of it. I loved that. And yeah, they're all dead now, but hey, while they were here, they were fun. And that's worth at least a soft yay from me.
Okay. So I think that I'm, like, feeling the opposite way of, like, envy about Elizabeth. I thought these, like, episodes, she was just annoying. I was like, she kept saying everything was her fault. And I wanted to be like, bitch, it's not your fault. It's not. Like, stop. Like, it's so annoying when people are like...
You have to be relevant for something to be your fault.
Yeah, when people are so, like, caught up in themselves that, like, they don't want to take other people's problems as, like, at face value. They are like, it's my fault you're feeling this way. Like, no, it's not. You don't have to make everyone's sadness about yourself. Like, stop it. Like, that's toxic. And it's just, I don't know. Like, I know people like that in real life who, like, you say, oh, I'm sad, and they're like, I'm the reason you're sad, and then they make it all about themselves, and it's like, knock that off right now. And that really annoyed me with Elizabeth. So yeah, I just do not like her, and I think she's kind of a useless character. And, like, I get the whole, she, like, makes people's hearts, like, you know, I don't even know, whatever Envy said that Deanne had told Elizabeth, like, she moves their hearts or whatever. Like, that's bullshit.
She's
I'm
moving
sorry.
something on Meliodas. I mean...
I mean, yeah.
Fair.
Like, the only reason they like her is because she is nice. And, like, that's about all she is going for her, if you ask me. And I don't know. I like the other characters, so, like, Meliodas isn't as annoying to me as he was, like, in the first 3 episodes. Like, I think he's, like, shown to be a little bit more, like, I don't know, driven, if that's the right word. Deanne, I really like Deanne. I can't really explain it, but I just do. Bon is fun. I really like him and how, like, chaotic he is. Like, that's always fun to have in a character. And the villains were pretty good. I think that they were definitely highlights of these episodes for sure. So I'd give the characters a soft yay just because, not a full yay, but a soft yay just because Elizabeth is annoying, but yeah.
Yeah, there were some ups and downs for me in terms of the characters, but I think some of the strong suits were definitely. I think Deanne surprised me because at first I was worried she was gonna be just kinda like my problems with Sakura, where it feels like she just revolves around this one dude and that's about it. But I felt like they actually did do an arc for her, kind of interest in Meliodas. Like, it felt like it had more to do with her own, like, issues and self-esteem, and, there was more than just her being envious just for a few chuckles. I felt like they actually did something with it. So I liked that about her. And I thought she was pretty good overall. I did like her, by the end of it. And I still like Meliodas overall. I think he's pretty good. Yeah, he's pervy and all, but I think overall I like him. He's still pretty likable to me. I don't know. I'm kind of split on. Damn, I almost call her Lucy again. Elizabeth. I think she's. I kind of agree with Gav and Al that she's kind of just there most of the time. I felt like they were kind of trying to do something with her, but I don't know. They didn't do it as well as they did. Like, I feel like they definitely moved Deanne's character along a lot better than Elizabeth's right now. I don't know where she's gonna go. I don't know anything about that, but I don't know. I'm not thrilled about her. I don't hate her. I don't like her. It's just kind of she's there. I did like the villains. I thought that they stuck out a lot, in a good way. I really liked their weird designs and their hamminess. I think the voice actors did a good job with that. But even just, I don't know, their whole aesthetic was just on point. So, good villains. So overall, I would say I'm a soft yay too.
I think that's everyone, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Seemed in the realm of soft yay for the most part. When we head into world building, Envy, are you taking us off on this one? I think, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, the world building was kind of really not that prevalent. I mean, we got some backstory on some characters, and we got, more Holy Knights and more what the powers of the Holy Knights can be. But as far as, the world itself, there really wasn't anything that was presented. It was just the focus was on, the action and the characters, which, I mean, again, it's fine when you do that. You don't need to have a big world info dump all the time. But as far as, this competition, there really wasn't much anything really, minus a few things here and there. So it's kind of a soft meh.
Yeah, I'm kind of debating back and forth a little bit. I feel like in the previous 3 episodes, we had some world building. It wasn't perfect world building, but it at least established some stuff. And I think they're just riding off of that right now. Which, like you said, it's fine. They're focusing a little bit more on characters and, thank God, establishing just wacky villains that are just going to be really, I can tell, are going to be the best part of the show. But yeah, I'm in a meh to almost a nay, I think, on this, because I really didn't, other than that there are giants, which I guess we learned last time anyway. Yeah, I'm really not. I don't really think anyone has learned anything new about this place. I guess we could say that there is a more abundance of powers. I guess, not dissimilar to what we saw in Naruto today. Like with the bugs, how do you make that work? Or the invisibility, or all these other things. Like, up until this point, like, other than the sins themselves, I think Gil Thunder was probably... I'm sorry, not Gil Thunder. Gil Thunder was probably the biggest power moves that we saw at this point. So it's I guess it's good to see some versatilities here. So maybe I'm in the meh region for now. Yeah, I think yeah, I'm a meh.
Um. Hmm. I don't know. Like the they didn't really give us much to go on. Like they kind of did some like this is where Bon is kept in this like prison, and here are the people who run the prison. But besides for that, they didn't really give us much. Like they didn't really explain anyone's powers either. So I am also a meh.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the meh range too. I think that what was there was pretty good, but there wasn't that much that they were building on this week, so I'd say it's a meh.
Yeah, I'm also gonna give it a meh. Mostly just because, like, yes, you establish this new prison, but said prison immediately gets destroyed. Um, and
Bit of a missed
yeah,
opportunity there.
they're not really like, yeah, these episodes are definitely more for character introductions and character backstory and focus on the characters. Um, Mostly just so like we get a more of a feel for who Deanne is. We get sort of like an idea of like why she's so devoted to the captain, who Bon is, and like just kind of like his sort of like a feel for his character. That I kind of feel like anything that they did with world building, it they again, as Al said, they kind of just want us to assume, and they're like and just like writing off what they already established for us in the first 3 episodes. Because even with the magic powers, it's like, where do people get their powers? This is just something that we are already supposed to assume, like what's going on. And again, this is like a high fantasy kind of environment, so like a lot of it is mostly up to like suspension of disbelief. um so yeah, definitely gonna give it a meh just because it was lacking, but they didn't do anything that I absolutely hated or didn't make sense.
Yeah, okay. Kind of seems in a bit of pretty meh area for world building today. Let's move into art and animation. I think I'm leading us off on this one. I'm a yay here. I will say one caveat to that. I don't think I like how the faces of anyone. I don't know what it was about it. Like, I just kind of don't like how the artists are drawing faces. They're not like they're bad faces. They're just weird looking to me for some reason.
It's the noses.
The noses and the tiny mouths. I don't know. It's just not the most appealing to me. Outside of that, I think the animation is very good. I think the art style is fine, but again, the biggest highlight for me is the villains. I love how every villain is designed.
Probably
I think we
because you
talked
can't
about-
see their faces.
Oh my god, I didn't even think of that.
Good point.
But,
Wow.
I feel like I was even feeling that like last week with like Sir Twiggle and Gilthunder.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
everyone is coming in with like just their like some sort of fantastic themed aesthetic. Like like who comes up with a giant spider helmet? That's a bold choice, and I gotta give you points for that. Like, I don't want to just have this be me just raving about all the Holy Knights, but it's gonna be that because they're the best part of this show so far. That and the scene where Bon and Meliodas like destroy the prison, but yeah, I think everything here looks good. I have some caveats, but I think that's more of a personal taste thing. So, yeah, I'll give it a yay.
I think. Well, I think like the animation is pretty good. The art style is not bad. I do like some of the character designs I love, like the villains and Bon. I think Bon is just really attractive. I'm sorry, but
But he's not a clown.
so
He could be a clown for all we know.
Well, he acts like a clown. There you go.
Ah, there we go.
and like, but I don't like the way Elizabeth looks. I don't like the way Meliodas looks. Deanne's kind of has a boring design. Like, I don't know. I don't really care for them all that much. I like Gil Thunder. His is like a better design. Basically, the Holy Knights have good designs, and everyone else's designs are just kind of like eh. But the animation's okay. So I don't know. I guess for art and animation, I'd give it like a meh to a soft yay.
I think overall my opinions on the animation have stayed pretty consistent from the first 3 episodes we watched. I think it still looks pretty good. I definitely like the colors and the general aesthetic. I think everything fits pretty well. I actually like all the designs of the characters. You know, I don't know. I think they work for me. I think like Elizabeth and Meliodas and stuff, I actually do like their designs. I definitely like the new characters' designs. The villains look great, like we've already said. I like Bond's design a lot. Am I missing anyone?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I'd say overall it's a yay for me. I do like the animation.
So the animation's good, fight scenes are good. Yeah, I will agree with Al that the faces are a little weird, but from what I can tell from like manga scans or the covers that I have seen, it actually is pretty true to the manga's art styles, so I feel like it was just more they were trying to go for like being more accurate to the source material for that. As far as character design is concerned, all the Holy Knight villains look very fun and colorful, and the designs are all very interesting. I honestly really wonder if like the mangaka for this series had started going into the series with the idea of like all these like villain designs in mind. Because they are so unique and iconic, whereas like some of the character designs for like at least the main cast are not quite as spectacular. Bond's design's good. Meliodas is, well, Meliodas, he's small and he wears a vest. Elizabeth, again, I feel like her design's a little too modern, or at least like it's more low fantasy than high fantasy in design. I feel like I would just prefer to see her look a little more like a princess, I guess. Even though, like, she's not supposed to, like, be a princess right now. She's kind of, like, undercover, I guess. I don't know. Deanne's design's kind of, not really spectacular. I really wish they would have gone maybe with a little something different for her, but, what can you do? Yeah, so I think overall for art and animation, I'd give it a soft yay.
Honestly, I don't really have any major complaints with the art and animation for the show. I like the art style. I like most of the character designs except for maybe Elizabeth's. I think I get it, you know, Meliodas wanted to make her look like a sexy barmaid, but like outside of that, it kind of really has no practical use, which practical use in anime, I know that's kind of a weird concept, but whatever. But I like all the other character designs, especially the villains. And yeah, I liked all the action scenes. I thought they were pretty well animated. Granted, they weren't, you know, spectacularly animated like we've seen in the past, but I thought they were pretty good. So yeah, I give it a yay overall.
Overall in the yay to soft yay region. What do we have next? Sound and dubbing?
Yeah.
Gav, I think you're up.
Okay. I think that the dubbing is okay. I I think that Bryce Papenbrook's voice as Meliodas definitely bothers me less than it did last time. I've kind of gotten used to it. Um, and the new characters, their voices were good. Um, and everyone else is like pretty consistent with like a good performance overall. As far as the like sound goes, like the soundtrack, I can't really remember like any, like I said earlier when I was talking about Naruto, I don't really pay attention to like background music and stuff when I'm watching, because I'm more focused on like what's going on the screen. And I guess reading like subtitles, because sometimes I turn those on even if I'm watching a dub, because it's like, I don't know, I just can't watch things anymore like a normal person. But yeah, I don't know, it's like hard for me to say, so I'd give it like a soft yay just for the dub performance.
Yeah, I would say my opinions are relatively unchanged from the first round. I remember liking the dub a fair amount, and I still do. I think the new voices are good. I liked Bond's voice in particular, and of course the villain voices I think were the highlight once again, because they really brought out the, I don't know, the eccentricity of those characters. I think that, you know, it was exaggerated, but in a good way. So I would say that they were definitely the highlight for me. I would give it probably a yay overall.
Um, so while I can't really remember the score, and it's probably because it's a fantasy, or at least like Western-ish sort of fantasy, like the music's already probably sounded like stuff I've already heard before. The voice acting performances were really good. Um, like again, everyone's doing just fine. No one's voice was really terrible. All the Holy Knights are like doing bang up job with their voice work. Um, Bonds was a voice that only threw me a little bit, and I feel like I can't, not that the voice doesn't fit the face. The voice does sort of fit, but I'm just like this. I'm like, this isn't exactly what I expected, but I'm not mad about it. Also, I recognized it from somewhere. I'm like, where do I know your voice from? And I realized, I'm like, oh, you're Haida in the Agretzko dub, so that's where I know you from.
Interesting.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute. Oh, this is him. Ah, okay. But yeah, no, not a bad performance. Yeah, overall I'd give it a yay.
So I kind of agree that the music is not bad, but I don't remember much about it. The dub, I think, is what makes it really shine. I said last time I liked all the main cast, and I still do. I like the villains. I love Bond's voice. His voice actor, Ben Diskin. I never watched Agresco, so I wouldn't know him from there. You probably, if you watched Cartoon Network, you would probably recognize him. He was number one in Codename Kids Next Door.
Oh.
So, yeah, that's all I hear whenever I hear that voice, and I love it so much.
Honestly, I can't hear it. Mostly because he puts on like a British kind of accent when he does that role.
That's all I heard whenever I heard him, because I don't know, I like that voice he does, so I didn't mind that. So yeah, I give it a yay.
I think I'm a yay here too. Sorry, losing words a little bit. I think you guys are right. I think when I first was watching these, like, I did notice the soundtrack, but as it kept going, it kind of just faded into background noise to me. It's not bad. It's just nothing to write home about. The voice acting is done well, competently for most of the main cast. Bond seems fun, though I don't think we've seen quite enough of him yet. I'd like to see more. I'm with Yin though. The highlight for me again was the villains. It's just I feel like it's one of those situations again, and we had this with Sir Twiggle. Conclusion. That they brought in these voice actors who they were like, here's your character. They're going to be here for 2 episodes. Here's what they look like. And at that point, each of them was like, oh, I'm just going to have so much fun with this. And it really shows. Like, Spider Lady was having the time of her life.
Yeah.
Invisible Man, he was hamming it up. What was his name? Ruin? The Bellman. Yeah. He was so over the top. I am villainous. I love them. I love them. I want more. You know what I want? And this is going to sound so dumb. I want a slice of life workplace comedy about the Holy Just like
funny. That would be great.
Medieval villains around the water cooler. I don't know. Something about that, it's just like everyone is so weird and bizarre and eccentric. I want it. I really want it. I feel like I've seen that concept in a couple other places. It's nice. I actually really liked it in I don't know if you guys saw the Harley Quinn series that was on DC Universe. I think it's going to be on HBO Max now. The Legion of Doom is hilarious. Great. They're like a boardroom full of villains. And they're like, we just come here and we kind of workshop different ideas. Kind of like what they do with Pixar. And Bane's just like, I want to see another Up movie. It's like,
well,
you're just all so weird, but I love it. And
I mean, there is something sort of similar to that. I guess there's a manga that's a spin-off for this series that's like, I guess it's if you took like the characters from the series and they were filming this as a live-action television show.
Okay, I feel like I would read that. I thought you were about to say they literally made what I'm talking about, but no, I'll take that.
It's a shoujo manga. It's got like 4 volumes. They published it in Aria like back in 2015. It sounds funny, honestly. I would definitely like to read that.
Yeah, I might look. Even whether or not we continue this show, I would definitely look into that because I find that kind of stuff funny. I'm not normally into slice of life, but yeah, that kind of stuff. I'd enjoy that. Anywho, it sounds good. Yay! I really went on a tangent there. Was that everybody?
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it seems an overall yay for sound and dubbing. Why don't we get into openings and endings? Yin? Think you're on this one?
I don't have many new thoughts about the openings and endings. It's the same as the first 3. I liked the opening and ending that time. I still like it. I think the ending, once again, sounds like an opening in and of itself, and I like that. But I don't know. I like the ending more than the opening, but I like both, so I'd give it a yay still.
Yeah, I would still give the opening and ending yay. Visuals still are good in my mind. Honestly, the songs are like real catchy, so I honestly really like them both. But yeah, I'd give it a yay.
Yeah, I'm still the same way too. I remember liking both a lot the first time I watched it, and I still do. I think I like the opening song better, but I think I like the ending visuals a little bit more. But yeah, overall I like them both a lot, so still a yay.
I'm a yay, but I think I'm gonna go the opposite of you, Envy. I think the ending is better than the opening. I would actually probably like switch those if it were.
Well, no, I meant like visual wise. I like the ending more. But opening, okay. I like the song wise. I like the opening more.
Well, that's what I mean. I like the song for the ending a little bit better. I actually think that should be the opening.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I felt.
Either way, they're both still pretty catchy. They're both still good. Yeah, I'd still give them a yay.
I think that they're both pretty catchy, opening and endings. And I don't know. I'd give them yays. That's all I really have to say.
Seems overall yay for opening and ending. Let's move on. Final thoughts, everybody? Well, final thoughts, Chippy.
So my final thoughts are, given like what we've had for like the past couple episodes, as far as plot progression is concerned, I definitely give this a soft yay. Like I would continue watching it, but it's not like I want to hurry up and watch more now. So, yeah, soft yay.
Are you done?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't.
My mic just didn't pick up my voice.
Okay, I just didn't want to make sure that you were. I was talking over you. Honestly, I'm thoroughly entertained with this show. Like, I'm surprised. Like, I heard mixed things about the show, mainly because of its later seasons. That was when it was animated by a different studio, and I heard the fan base can be a little toxic. Yet again, what anime fan base isn't at this point? But I really enjoyed it. It makes me want to at least watch the first season, and maybe it's kind of weird. Like, I'm kind of invested in the show and want to keep going, but yet at the same time, I hear the like season starting with season 4, the quality drops dramatically. But that's here neither there or now. As far as these 3 episodes, it did enough for me to want to keep watching it. So it's a yay.
I think overall I'm a yay here, maybe a soft yay for this. It's keeping itself moving, though I feel like some of the motivation for moving is not all there right now. Really, for me, the big thing has been like I've just been enjoying these villain of the week things that we've been having through this show, and I think like that's really its greatest strength. And that's mostly like I kind of want to see what is the rest of this Order of Holy Knights. They're supposed, if we're following general laws of shonen, things are supposed to get progressively harder as we keep going and going. What is the next step on these like bizarro villains that we're gonna have? And like I'm almost more interested in them than I am the heroes at times. So, but even then, that is keeping my interest. So I think I'm a soft yay here.
Well, let's see. I liked some aspects of the show. Like some of the characters, like the newer characters we got introduced to, were cool. And I think these episodes were definitely better than what I thought of the first 3. But I'm not sure I would watch it, like, on my own, like, if I didn't have to be honest. So I'm kind of a meh.
I kind of feel similarly. I technically like quite a few things about the anime. I think it's a pretty good anime. However, I think, like I said in the beginning, I just wasn't super engaged, or I don't know, maybe I'm not too invested in the main characters or the plot in general. I think it's good, like, it's solid, but I think maybe for me it comes down to like a taste thing or just like an investment thing, and I feel like it's not quite there for me yet. But once again, I think it's a pretty good show, so I'd have to give it kind of in a meh to a slight yay, but kind of meh overall on continuing.
Okay, seems overall a little bit mixed, kind of in a soft yay area. But yeah, that's 7 Deadly Sins. Well, now we come down to the important part. Let's battle this out. Naruto versus 7 Deadly Sins. Plot, Envy. Lead us off.
It's kind of weird for me with plot because on the one hand, I think Naruto's plot was better because it had more insight and it had better, I guess, life lessons, if that's a thing you can use for anime. Like the whole lesson he taught the group, I thought the Kakashi taught the group, I thought was pretty good. But yet at the same time, I was more invested and entertained by the Seven Deadly Sins plot, even if it was more simple. So it's kind of one of those where do you get like the one that's technically better, or do you like the one that kept you more invested? So I'm gonna pass. I'm gonna do my pass early.
Oh, you did this last time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know.
Well, we'll see if you'll be the tiebreaker again. More than likely, we'll see what happens.
I highly doubt it. I highly doubt
Well,
it.
you weren't the tiebreaker last time, were you?
No.
Yeah,
No.
you lucked out. Well, we'll see. So I think you bring up a good point. Like, the plot of Naruto is moving, and it's moving at a steady pace, and it's gaining stakes and stuff like that. That's great. The plot and the villain of the week stuff is fantastic in Seven Deadly Sins. But for me, I'm gonna go with Naruto because I think the plot is more important than it has been in Seven Deadly Sins. Not to say that there's no plot, but it's just kind of been the same plot since episode 1 for the most part. Holy Knight's bad, find the Seven Deadly Sins. Versus Naruto, it's gone from the test to here's this new mission to and the mission was not what we thought it was, and things are changing. I think the plot is causing things to change for people in Naruto, and it's not as much in Seven Deadly Sins, except we're told it's important for Elizabeth or something. I don't know. So yeah, I'm going with Naruto on this.
I would say Naruto for the exact same reason you just said, Al. That like with Naruto, it seems like things are definitely like the plot is growing with like the episodes, whereas like the plot seems kind of stagnant right now in the Seven Deadly Sins. So I'd say Naruto.
I would give it to Naruto as well, mostly because I do feel like there's been a little bit more progression. I feel like things are certainly happening in Seven Deadly Sins, but I feel like it's kind of more of the same stuff that we've already seen, whereas I feel like more new stuff happened in Naruto. And I just found myself more engaged with the plot of Naruto, so I'm going to give it to that one.
Seven Deadly Sins is definitely chugging along there, and they're doing a lot of stuff, introducing a lot of people, you know, just kind of moving us along. And granted, like, we did have, like, a bit of a plot here within these 4 episodes was find Bon and get him out of prison. But even then, like, that plot kind of resolved itself because Bon broke himself out of prison.
Yeah.
So, I would definitely say that Naruto, though, like, while it is a bit slower, because we did take 2 episodes to do a test, and then we also, like, kind of got started on our first mission, and I will give Naruto the caveat that it is a very long series, and also is a bit slower paced than the Seven Deadly Sins. It's definitely, like, sort of, while it's not, like, chugging along quite as quickly as Seven Deadly Sins is, it's laying groundwork, where we get, like, their teamwork development, and, like, that's sort of a plot in and of its own, because the kids gotta find out, like, hey, we gotta work together if we're gonna be able to do anything. And then, like, with Naruto kind of inciting them getting a more difficult mission, that we're going to be introduced to a new villain in the Mist Ninjas and Zabuza. So yeah, I would give it to Naruto as far as plot is concerned.
You know, now that you guys mention it, I think the lesson that Kakashi taught with the group in episode 5, I think that kind of pushed it over the edge for me. So yeah, I will agree with you guys with Naruto.
Is it just me, or is that the exact same way that the last week went down? Envy skipped, and then everyone went to one side, and he didn't have to be the tiebreaker.
Yes.
Yes, that's
That is
exactly
exactly how it went.
Yeah.
Damn. Did not think that was going to happen 2 weeks in a row. Naruto takes it for plot. Let's head into characters. I'm starting this one. I am in a difficult position.
You like the main characters with Naruto, but yet you love the villains so much from Seven Deadly Sins.
That's part of it. That is. I think that we've got more development out of the main characters of Naruto. Not the most, but a little bit. We didn't really get much out of the Seven Deadly Sins. There was a little bit, not as much as Naruto. Naruto added a very cool new character. Seven Deadly Sins added a bunch of new characters. Granted, they're not going to be there for long, but I am torn between the entertainment. You're right, the entertainment of the villains and Kakashi, basically. Who do I like better? Power Rangers villains or Kakashi? I am having a bad time.
Do you want to pass?
No, I won't pass. I won't pass today. I think I'm going to go with Naruto because a large thing here is I think the main cast is learning things and is developing as individuals and as a group. And I think I might have figured out why, to some degree, a lot of Seven Deadly Sins feels stagnant, because these people are already a group. They're already friends. They've already been through a bunch of adventures together. They don't have to learn to work with each other. They don't have to do any of this stuff. They're already there. I think it's better, like, actually having a cast that is learning that kind of stuff and is growing together, as opposed to, we've already grown, we don't have to do it anymore. So I'm going to go with Naruto. I'm so sorry to all the villains that I love so much.
See, to me, it's about likability. And I just like the characters in Naruto more than the characters in the Seven Deadly Sins. I think the Seven Deadly Sins have, there's some good characters, but, I don't know, I just don't feel as connected to them as I do the characters in Naruto. So, Naruto.
This one's a little hard for me because I do like the characters in both. And I also think that there are one or two outliers in both. So it's kind of rough.
Can I ask, does this come down to who you hate more, Sakura or Elizabeth?
I don't know. I don't think it actually comes down to that, to be honest. Because then I might say I might hate Sakura more, to be honest. I think she's just more outwardly annoying than Elizabeth. Even though Elizabeth is there, she's not as grating as Sakura, in my opinion. But I think it comes down to kind of what Gav was talking about investment. And the characters that I like in Naruto, I think I like more than the characters I like in Seven Deadly Sins overall, even though I like the characters in Seven Deadly Sins as well. So, just because of that, I think I'll also go with Naruto.
The thing is that, as far as the characters for Seven Deadly Sins is concerned, it's not that, they don't really have things going on with them and that they don't have backstories, and it's just that we don't really get a whole lot. I mean, yes, we do get them interacting some, but it's not, again, what Al said, it's not like they're learning to work together, because they already know how to do that. And they're all just kind of, falling in line, sort of behind Meliodas, and also subsequently Elizabeth, because he is the one like carrying out her mission. Um, and it feels like there's a lot more character development with the characters in Naruto. Um, and while I do enjoy the villains from Seven Deadly Sins, quite a bit because they're all just very, hammy and sort of goofy and funny. Um, that yeah, I'd probably give characters to Naruto just because it feels like these characters have to grow a little bit rather than like them already sort of like knowing each other and just like getting a new adventure and kind of just the band all getting back together. I don't know. So yeah, I'd give it to Naruto.
Well, time for me to be the contrarian when everyone else is voting for the one. Yeah, I liked all the characters in Seven Deadly Sins, both the heroes and the villains, and I do like Kakashi a lot, but you heard my rant on Naruto. I can't stand him, and when I can't stand the main protagonist in the Shonen show, I'm gonna have to give it to Seven Deadly Sins by default. So, no, it doesn't matter, but still.
Hey, your opinion always matters. Even if you're, yeah, you are going to go against the grain a little bit. Yeah, Naruto takes characters. Let's go into world building. Gav, you're starting this one.
Okay. Well, as we talked about earlier, I think that Naruto had like quite a bit of world building in these 3 episodes. What with like, even though it came from like Kakashi, is kind of like, and the Hokage, is kind of like a, hey, I'm educating you about the world and the stuff that's going on. It still was like delivered in a good way. Whereas like there wasn't much of that in the Seven Deadly Sins. Like, we don't know where their powers came from. We don't get much else about the world. Like, it's just kind of the same old, and these villains are like, the Holy Knights are showing up pretty much out of like nowhere. It seems like they're just everywhere, but honestly, but we don't really learn much about the world like we do in Naruto, so I'd give world building to Naruto.
I liked the world building in both. I felt like it felt natural in Seven Deadly Sins to me, even though we didn't learn that much more. I'm not sure we need to, because a lot is implied just in its high fantasy world, if I'm going to be honest. There's a lot I can kind of just accept because of that. However, since we are specifically talking about world building in these 3 episodes, I do think Naruto did a little bit more in these 3 episodes. And I was really interested in the ninja skills that we saw a little bit more of, and the hierarchical stuff we saw a little bit more of. So I think just because Naruto did more in these episodes, I am going to have to give it to Naruto.
Yeah. Mostly due to a bit of a lack of world building on Seven Deadly Sins part, and like not really explaining like the magic system if they really have one at all. I'd have to give it to Naruto because we do get some developments with like talking about the different hidden villages and all the other stuff that's kind of important. Even to the plot with like the mist ninjas, and like explaining all the different Kages. So yeah, I'd give it to Naruto.
Yeah, my choice is pretty simple. Other than flashbacks, Seven Deadly Sins really didn't have any world building, whereas Naruto did. So, yeah, Naruto wins.
I got nothing to add there either. It was Naruto all the way. Naruto takes world building. Let's talk art and animation. Yin? I think is, yeah.
Art and animation. I liked both of these for different reasons. Once again, kind of like we talked about in the first round, Naruto. I think Naruto's designs are super iconic. I really like the aesthetics of the world and all of that. Seven Deadly Sins I also like, though. I think it has a very good aesthetic. I think it's pretty strong in terms of like the flow of the animation, just in terms of which I like looking at more and which I think is more aesthetically pleasing, because I think that's what's gonna come down to, because I think both are pretty comparable in terms of quality. Like if we think about when they were both created, I actually think I'm gonna go with Seven Deadly Sins. I kind of just prefer that one, but I don't actually think that one is that much better than the other, but I'm just gonna go with that one.
So yeah, I'd probably have to agree with Yin. While Naruto's art style and animation's pretty standard for the time, um, I don't know. I kind of like, while I'm not really crazy about some of the character designs for Seven Deadly Sins, I do like the animation a lot. So yeah, I'd give it to Seven Deadly Sins.
Well, I do think that the character designs of Naruto are, iconic at this point. I do think that, and given that's probably the progress of technology, I think Seven Deadly Sins' animation was a lot better in terms of, just overall, and especially with the action, and I do like the art and character designs of Seven Deadly Sins as well. So I'm going to give it to Seven Deadly Sins.
I'm a little in the middle of this. I think from a pure animation standpoint, Seven Deadly Sins was better. I think I prefer the art style of Naruto better. I didn't have as many complaints about that. It's a little bit tough for me. I think I like looking at the stuff from Naruto better. But at the same time, I have to also give it that when we talked about it, I gave it that caveat of it had that flashback, which wasn't terrible in this episode, but it's a telling thing of things to come, unfortunately. So, yeah, and I didn't have, other than the face thing, I didn't really have a whole lot of complaints about Seven Deadly Sins. And Seven Deadly Sins brought us more wonderful Power Rangers villains, so it hurts me a little bit, but I'm going to go Seven Deadly Sins with this as well.
Okay, well, it doesn't really matter what I think, because Seven Deadly Sins won it. But I kind of agree with Al, though, anyway. I personally like Naruto's, like, art style a lot, but Seven Deadly Sins, like, doesn't have a bad art style, and, like, the animation looks really good. And that they had a lot of good character designs in these 3 episodes, so I don't know. I mean, you could just give it to Seven Deadly Sins. It already has it, so
yeah, that's fine. Seven Deadly Sins takes the art and animation department. Let's move along into sound and dubbing. Chibi, what's your pick?
Okay, so for sound and dubbing, I can't really remember the score from Seven Deadly Sins. I can remember the score from Naruto because it's just very unique to itself. For the voice acting, I will say I don't really have a problem with any of the character voice acting in Seven Deadly Sins. I do really like the voice acting in Naruto, but I will say that Yuri Lowenthal does throw me off a little bit just because the voice is so deep for a 10-year-old boy, even though, like, the voice is kind of iconic at this point. You know what? I'm gonna pass.
I will say,
working out for Envy lately. That's always a bit of a risk.
Oh, I will say this. If we were just comparing the background music, then Naruto would win this one easily because, yeah, Naruto it's kind of cheesy but it still works really well with its ninja-esque, soundtrack and design. But obviously, as I mentioned before, it's kind of unfair to me, but I kind of prefer I kind of judge the dubbing more in the sound and dubbing department. And don't get me wrong, the background music in Seven Deadly Sins isn't bad either, but kind of like with the characters in Seven Deadly Sins, I liked all the voice acting for all the characters, and I really liked Ben Diskin, and I could not stand the voice of Naruto. So again, when that's the main character, I have to give it to Seven Deadly Sins.
See, I didn't have as many problems with Naruto's dub as you did.
And I know
I
it's
thought
probably just a me
everyone-
thing, so
No, I know, but hey, that's a thing. That's your opinion. My opinion is that I thought everyone in Naruto did very well. It definitely has the superior score. And Kakashi is definitely the highlight for this episode. On the other side of things, even though they don't have as good of a score, Seven Deadly Sins has a decent cast that's pretty consistent. They also have the villains that are just, even though they're there for a very short time, they are very fun. Like I'm torn a little bit between them. Like, I know these villains that I like so much are not going to be there long term. I know Kakashi is, so you would think that would put a point into Naruto's favor. That being said, in these episodes, I was probably enjoying listening to Seven Deadly Sins just a tiny bit more. I think I'm gonna go with Seven Deadly Sins on this one, and I don't like doing that because I feel like I'm almost completely discounting the score that Naruto has, which is clearly superior. But yeah, I gotta give them points where they did right, and the villain voices just really helped them. The villains did everything for me today, and yeah, I'll give a point to Seven Deadly Sins.
Okay. Well, I think the score and sound in Naruto is just really, really good. And I also had no problems with the dub in Naruto, but I didn't have any problems with the dub in the Seven Deadly Sins either. But the thing is, I can't remember the score at all from the Seven Deadly Sins. And, like, we're judging on both categories, and if the dubbing is, like, equal to me for both of them, but the score's better in one, like, and better in one of them, more than the other for me, then I gotta go with the one that has both. So I'd say Naruto.
Yeah, I liked both overall, but I think I had that one issue with Naruto's dub because I wasn't that fond of Sasuke's voice, whereas I didn't really have any problems with the dub in Seven Deadly Sins, and I really liked the funky villain voices. So that kind of pushes it over the edge for me, and I think for me, even though I really like Naruto's score, I do think about the dubbing a little bit more, kind of like what Envy said, so I'm going to give it to Seven Deadly Sins.
Chibi, did you have any? I know you skipped. Did you have any other thoughts on it?
Not really. So, like, my whole thing is just the fact that, like, I don't know. The thing with me is, like, for score, like, for me, score matters a little bit more because for me, score sets the mood for the scene that I'm watching. So, if you're really, like, evoking, like, a response out of me with the music, I'm more likely to remember that scene and be, like, far more invested in said scene, which is why the score matters so highly to me. So that's the only thing that I can really say. Otherwise, I probably feel like I'd have given it to Seven Deadly Sins just for the voice acting in general. But That being said, I really like to hear a good score because I like to get immersed. So
You guys are kind of making me rethink my decision. Nah, I already made it. Okay, sound and dubbing goes to Seven Deadly Sins. I can't backtrack. I already made my decision. Okay, moving on. Opening and ending. Envy, take us away.
Kind of like with the this is almost kind of like a reverse world building for me. The opening and ending of Naruto I thought were just there. They were just kind of there. Whereas the opening and ending of Seven Deadly Sins I thought were really good. So yeah, Seven Deadly Sins wins easily for me.
I'm in complete agreement. We got 2 openings from Seven Deadly Sins and 2 endings from Naruto. Only one of those endings was really good, and both of those openings from Seven Deadly Sins was good. It goes to Seven Deadly Sins.
I didn't really care for Naruto's opening and ending, but I liked Seven Deadly Sins opening and ending, so Seven Deadly Sins.
Yeah, I'll give it to Seven Deadly Sins.
yeah, I'm also gonna give it to Seven Deadly Sins as well.
So we're all tied up. Again.
Yep.
That
I knew
happens
it
a
would
lot.
come to this.
Yep. Plot, characters, and world building go to Naruto. Sound, dubbing, art and animation, opening, ending go to Seven Deadly Sins. Let's move into final thoughts.
You know, honestly, that's what carried Seven Deadly Sins last time
it was all the technical stuff.
They're a very well made technical show. So my final thoughts. This is actually not as difficult for me. I'm really trying to take everything into account, and when I do, a lot of it comes down to I'm gonna prefer a show that has characters that are on more of a journey for me, that were with a plot that's actually feels like it's going somewhere with some intent a little bit more, and in a world that I enjoy and want to learn more about. Seven Deadly Sins definitely has the technical stuff. We just said that. But, you know, even though they won those categories, Naruto's not a slouch in those categories either. But at the same time, I felt like it handily beat Seven Deadly Sins on basically all the writing fronts. So, moving on long term, I'm gonna prefer to watch Naruto. So I'm gonna say Naruto for this.
Well, as y'all can probably guess, just from my opinions so far, I just like Naruto a lot more than I like the Seven Deadly Sins. Not that the Seven Deadly Sins is bad, it's just I like the plot and world building and characters of Naruto a lot more, and to me that's important in like a show, especially if I'm gonna keep watching it. So I would give my final thoughts to Naruto.
Yeah, I think for me it comes down to how invested I felt and how much I wanted to watch the next episodes. And I feel like for me, I felt that more with Naruto. I felt like there were definitely strong points to Seven Deadly Sins that I really liked about it, especially on those technical fronts. But I feel like overall, in terms of just what I would be most excited to watch, I think I'm much more interested in Naruto at this point.
So I think for me, well, I will say Naruto definitely has, far better writing and characters and stuff like that. But Seven Deadly Sins had me entertained, at least for this week's episodes. Especially with like the villains and just like getting to meet new characters and things like that. I will say though that while I was kind of more of a soft yay with Naruto and more of like also just like, yeah, I'd probably, continue watching a few more episodes of Seven Deadly Sins when I gave my final thoughts just like on them individually, pitting the two against each other, I'm gonna go with Naruto because while I'm having fun watching these couple episodes of Seven Deadly Sins, I'm a little bit hesitant because I don't want Meliodas to suddenly turn back into a perv again, and it's making me a bit anxious. So that's my reasoning.
Maybe episodes 7 through 9 of Naruto will make me actually like him a little bit, because honestly, I'd give it to Seven Deadly Sins. I enjoyed Seven Deadly Sins more. I had more fun watching it. I wasn't that invested in the end with Naruto, but yet again, maybe 7 through 9 would make me be ungrinchy with the show. So hopefully it does its job well in the next time.
This.
I mean, I hope so too, because Naruto takes final thoughts and they take the game. They're moving on into the semifinals where they will go on to face next week's challenger. So, well, yeah, so Naruto won. What do we have? Do we want any gush time for Seven Deadly Sins? Because I know, Envy, you are at least... I don't know whether you watch this or not. I know you're at least aware of more of it than we are.
The only reason why I'm aware of it was because the first three episodes, it's on season 5 right now. The first 3 seasons were done by AYoN Pictures, and it's pretty good. Studio Dean took over from season 4, and it went downhill badly with quality wise. Like, you just need to look up like Seven Deadly Sins season 4, and some of the still images and some of the animation with the fights are laughably bad. Like, it's almost it is insulting to Seven Deadly Sins fans, but it's hilarious to outside people, because there was a fight that was built up for years between Meliodas and one of the Seven Deadly Sins, Ascanor, and it's horrendous. Like, it's like, it's bad. Like, really,
now you're making me really want to continue watch.
Well, you could just watch the scene on YouTube just to see how bad it is. And there's an infamous. All of my knowledge on this is like through the internet and YouTube, but like there's like a screenshot in season 4 where Meliodas is laying down in a bed after a battle next to Elizabeth. No, it's nothing like that, but
I think I know what you're talking about.
You know that image where
Yes.
It's kind of like it kind of is like the anime equivalent of like that one cover with Captain America where he has like that shelf for a chest.
Yes. It I don't like, I understand, the studio didn't want to keep going, but like, maybe it was like a time crunch, because like I know a lot of times with anime studios, when they turn out a bad project, it's usually either bad direction or just it's rushed. Because like One Punch Man season 2, they just rushed that thing out the door. That's why it wasn't nowhere near as good as season 1. So I think
Did they rush it?
Yeah, they rushed
it. Took
it.
Years.
No. There's a whole story behind why season 2 is bad. They pretty much rushed it, and even though it came out 4 years after season 1, they pretty much made it in less than a year, and it shows. But I want to believe that that's the reason why season 4 wasn't as good. I want to believe that the manga is still good. It's just a bad adaptation. So that's almost why I'm hesitant to keep going, because I think like I'll enjoy seasons 1 through 3, but then once season 4 hits, I'll be like, okay, this is where it turns for the worse.
I mean, at that point, you can just hate watch it. That's all that I would say.
I don't know if I have the stamina to do that.
I won't say that Naruto is entirely out of the range of like bad animation. There's certainly been plenty of like, especially in good fight scenes, you pause it in a weird place, you're gonna get some really weird looking shit.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, the biggest negative I've ever heard of Naruto was the filler. But yet again, that's any shonen anime.
Well, when your entire second half of your series is
100 episodes of filler.
Well, maybe it wasn't 100. It was at least 80-something episodes of filler. Yeah, that's gonna be... But that's neither here nor there for now. Yeah, any other thoughts on either of these shows right now?
No.
Yep.
No.
All right, well, Naruto moves on. It joins Jujutsu Kaisen and Demon Slayer in the semifinals, along with whoever wins next week's battle, which will be Inuyasha versus Dragon Ball Z. And I'd like to remind everybody that we are watching the Ocean dub, the Ocean Group dub. There will be a link in the description below to take you to that playlist, because it's not the Funimation one that everyone's used to. We wanted the original. So, yeah. I'm interested to see how that one goes down. I'm interested to see where... God, we were leading into a couple different fights on both shows, I think, so... Should be fun. Anybody else looking forward to that?
Sure.
Last of the quarterfinals?
I mean, even though they're both shonens, I think you couldn't get two shonens that are like total opposites of each other in a way.
What about Dragon Ball Z and Attack on Titan?
Both of them were kind of action oriented. I don't feel like Inuyasha specializes in fights all that often.
Yes it does.
Oh, it does? Okay.
There's a lot of fighting. And it's so good.
Okay. Wow. Join us next week for that, and then afterwards we're leading into the semifinals and the finals. We're more than halfway through this, so
Yeah.
yep, gonna be interesting moving forward, because after next week it's just the winners of winners going in to fight each other. Gonna be fun. All right, we'll see you guys next week. Bye everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, thanks for watching, and if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell icon for notifications. If you enjoyed this video, give us a like, and if you haven't already, check out some of our previous episodes, our daily gaming videos, or our parody series Madoka Magically Abridged. See you next time!